Hey guys, happy Thursday to you. That's Cool Drink coming at you again. Episode 10. I can't believe we've done these for 10 weeks now in a row. How much fun are we having? If it's your first time here, go check out some of the previous stuff. It is super good. Ben Wood was amazing. Darce Laws was amazing. Matt Frost was amazing. We're going to have some more really, really awesome people on. And again, the deal is I'm going through all of the 2015 race week people, but we're not sticking with just race week. We're just kind of doing a real basic history of why are you here, why do you have this car, what that kind of thing, and I'm having a blast with it, and it's super duper fun, guys. So this week I've got everyone from Hustlin' Horsepower. I've got Nick Plewniak, and we've got Maddie and MVP in the house.
Her first podcast.
This is going to be her first podcast, right?
Her very first podcast. That's very cool. So,
she's smiling.
Guys,
you can't see it right now, but she's smiling. She's rip roaring, ready to go.
Heck yeah. Guys, thank you so much for being on. This is going to be so much fun. Like we talked before, we're having a good time as long as we need to have a good time. So,
we're in it for the long haul. I don't care
Yeah.
if you want this to last a couple hours. We'll let it last a couple hours. I don't care. Like we're pretty open-ended. We're easygoing people for the most part.
Totally. And I have to apologize. I was pretty well ready for Nick, but Maddie, I don't have a ton of background for you, unfortunately. So
That's
jump
okay.
in whenever you want. Give us some information on you as well as we kind of get through, and just a little bit of housekeeping. I assume you're on a phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably can't see comments and stuff come up. So what I'll do is I'll flash them on the screen like this occasionally.
Maddie's got her cell phone up for to watch the comments. She's set up as a viewer right now. So
I was going to say on the right hand side, it's got the little comments box on the StreamYard. So Maddie, you can use that same link that I gave Nick if you want. And then you can see the comments from both Facebook and from YouTube. If you want to just be on YouTube, that works too. So either way, but no, this is going to be super duper fun. Nick, obviously the pilot of the stretchy truck, kind of what we were talking about earlier. And I really want to get into that, but I really want to start, and I kind of start all of these with, and this will be for both of you. What got you into racing? What's kind of the reason? Is it a family thing? Is it you just started with whatever and here we are? What sort of started you down this path of stupidity and no money?
So early on, I basically grew up into it to a large extent. My dad, who went on Drag Week 2013 with me, his health was starting on a little bit of a decline in 2013, actually prior to that. But he did some of the fastest streetcar stuff back in the day. So I was born in 91, so that makes me 32 now. But I've been doing this stuff pretty hardcore since I was a little guy, like little. And my dad built a lot of motors and stuff like that for street strip cars in the Western New York area. And he built motors for quite a few people, and he had a pretty fast Camaro back in the day, and that car went back in the early 90s. I think that car got sold in 96, but it was a tube chassis 67 Camaro, blown alcohol, but it could get swapped over to gasoline as well. This is like early on, like fastest street car type stuff. Before drag week and stuff like that, right? Like that car, it wouldn't have lasted a drag week type deal, but that car went 515 at 144.
Nice.
Still had license plates and stuff like that on it. Still drove on the street and stuff like that. Definitely not to the caliber of drag week rated stuff, you know what I mean? Or race
but early stuff, 90s stuff, like that's moving for sort of that era.
And pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And blown alcohol, like small block, big block kind of deal? What
it was a blown alcohol big block, but it wasn't like a legit blown alcohol big block.
Right, right. It's like a super comp motor you threw a blower on.
Yeah, it was a decent stuff, but like it wasn't the high end parts, you know what I mean? Like I don't come from money or nothing like that, and definitely didn't have like sponsors and stuff like that back in the day, you know what I mean?
Right.
A couple small ones, but nothing really, right? So that was in like the tube chassis days. A little bit before that, it was a back half car, and I believe it went really low eights back in like early '90s, early '90s, late '80s, early '90s, with a similar engine combination, a blower combination. So I grew up around this stuff and around that, and then I started, I did the whole, young kid thing where you have mini bikes to dirt bikes and three wheelers, and I think I got my first three wheeler when I was either 2 or 3 years old. It was a Yamaha Trizinger, right? And that was something that like you could literally, my dad would hold onto it with a rope and like stop me from running into the creek or into the tree with me. It was just a little. So that was early on. I ended up driving that thing into a pond, but like it makes me a little upset because that thing I think it got stolen or something like that out of the shed at my mom's house just like probably 5-7 years ago, and like that'd been something cool to have to like pass on to your kids, right? But yeah. So like the mini bike stuff, the early just like the real childhood stuff, not the video games like that, like a lot of these kids grow up on, like the way that MVP is going to grow up, right? Like crashing into trees and stuff like that, right? Like kid stuff. So as far as like that evolved into always being around the race cars and this and that and everything else. Early on, I mean, I was disassembling motors when I was probably like, no joke, like my dad or someone would like, break the main bolts free, right? This is before people had electric impact guns and stuff like that, right?
Right. Like a legit breaker bar.
Yeah, like a breaker bar, right? I was only like, I don't know, I'm still a lightweight guy, right? But when you do like a main stud that's 110 foot-pounds, like me at 45 pounds, I wasn't breaking that thing loose, right? No matter how hard you try to brace yourself against the engine stand. So like I would disassemble motors and stuff like that, like young, like I don't know, like way younger than a kid probably should, like, especially in today's standards.
Like 5 or 6 or something like that.
Yeah, like definitely less than 10, probably 6-8 years old. I was disassembling motors and stuff like that. And by 10-12 years old, I was garbage picking lawnmowers and making $1 so I could go buy my first dirt bike myself, right? I'd garbage pick lawnmowers and fix them and sell them. And we had every year we'd have a block sale. And I remember the one year I sold I probably sold $800 worth of lawnmowers in like 2 days. And when you're a kid, that's like, like I'm not saying like I had no money, right? But like, while other kids were out playing and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I did my fair share of that stuff. But like, I've always been very disciplined to the bigger picture, right?
Right.
And some maybe possibly in an unhealthy rate, but I've always been able to focus, sometimes a little too much so, on a bigger picture, like what my big goal is, right? So let's say early teens, I started like assembling motors, and I'm not talking about like file fitting rings and stuff like that, but putting like slapping a set of heads on a motor that got hurt or something like that, or
Got it.
And by 15, 16 years old, I was putting motors together that were motors that went 450s or so to the eighth, blower stuff, like not super fast stuff, like, but that's still pretty fast, right? Like pretty good quality stuff. And I remember one time I didn't have a license, so I had been like 15 years old or something like that. I worked at a family friend's machine shop, learning some of the basic machining and stuff like that. I'm still not a machinist. I do some machining, but like that's something I probably should have went to school for in BOCES or something like that.
Yeah, but, for sure.
I didn't, and I don't want to say it bit me in the butt, but that would have been a very nice repertoire to add besides just learn a little bit from some retired GM forge and die and die makers and stuff like that, forge and die makers, and old school machinists and stuff like that. But so we're out there racing, and we had a pretty good car, and I think we qualified like number 2 or 3, right? But it dropped the valve seat out, and it beat up the head, beat up the piston, messed up a bunch of stuff. So we load the car in the trailer this was on a Friday night. We load the car in the trailer, and like we started taking apart. The guy, he went through and put another. He had a spare valve, and he cut another valve seat into the cylinder head, right? Yeah. And this is all worn out, beat up stuff, right? The car went 450s, 460s, 470s, depending on like, how much we were beating on the thing. But dropped the valve seat out of the thing. He fixed it, and by this time it's probably like midnight or so. It's late, and he went to bed, and everyone else just quit. And I went through and I started putting this motor back together. I'm like, had the head fixed, but it was a 1471 blower motor. So I get the rod and piston out of the motor, and I didn't have a welder, but I got all the hot spots out of the piston. And this was a 12.5, 13.5 to 1 blown big block Chevy. And so I get the high spots out of the pistons. So there's no glow points, right? It's not a diesel motor. You don't want to have no detonation from having
hot spots
in the piston. So cleaned all that up. Got another set of, found some head gaskets and stuff like that. I won't say they were used head gaskets. Got the heads on the thing. Got it all back together. And I was young, right? So I got this 1471. This is probably about 6 o'clock in the morning, and we got to be to the track at like 8 or 9, right? And I've been up all night. Plus, I had school that day, so I'm trying to get this 1471 on the thing. So it's a 1471, not a magnesium case. The sucker's heavy, right?
200 pounds, yeah.
It's got to be at least all of 100 to 125 pounds. And I'm trying to get it on the car by myself, but I have all 8 studs in it, right? And this is all worn out stuff. So the studs aren't all straight. They're
right.
All
so you got to kind of
you're trying to get it on there, but you can't beat up the rotors, nothing like that, right? So I never took this. I left all the studs in it, right? Nowadays, you take most of the studs out if you have to put them by yourself, right? You only use 4 of them to locate the thing, and you throw the other studs in it. I was too dumb at that point. So I'm picking up the blower, carrying it 10 feet, trying to put it down. It's like, this ain't working. So I go in his house and I said, hey, Carl, go wake up. I said, wake up. I said, I got this thing pretty close to going. He's like, you're still here? I was like, yeah. I'm like, I thought we're qualified number 2. I thought we're racing tomorrow here. He's like, okay. So he comes out in his socks and his underwear and helps me put the blower back on, and he falls back asleep, right? So I get the thing all buttoned up. I get the valve train back in the thing, so on and so forth. And we push it back in the trailer because this is at his house and not at his shop, right? So it's people are sleeping. It's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock morning. You can't open a blown alcohol. You can't start a blown alcohol car. So we get it to the track, and like I said, this is all worn out stuff, right? We start the thing up, and within 2 minutes of it running, warming it up, right? There's it didn't have a preheater on or nothing like that. You had to warm it up, warm up the train, this and that, running through the gears. And the friggin' I think that was number 7. No, that was number 8 cylinder. Number 6 cylinder dropped the valve seat out of it as we were warming the damn thing up. So all of it was for freaking nothing.
For
right?
nothing.
But it goes that way sometimes, right? That's racing. So that's a small
snapshot.
A small snapshot into my life, I guess you could say, right? So yeah. So
it's just a bunch of old wore out junk, and you just keep it rolling and turn on wind lights.
The car did well. It always went rounds. The car was a pretty decent car. It definitely wasn't the fastest car. Of course, there were people going way, way faster than that, but it ran pretty good for the local, quick 8 shootouts and stuff like that, and frantic 4 shootouts and whatever it was. And but yeah, so I fell asleep there, and I'm sleeping next to these other blown alcohol cars, these rowdy freaking blown alcohol cars, and I slept for the whole freaking the whole race. I missed the whole race basically. I woke up and people are packing up, and I was like, son of a pup, and I'm just laying on the freaking just on the trailer floor, passed out. But yeah, so that was that. And then during that same era, 15 years old or so, I was helping out a street racer, a pretty prominent street racer in the Western New York area. He did pretty well, and I did some work on his he had several cars, but I was working on one of his cars, and he ended up being at a swap meet that I was at. Okay.
Oh, cool.
And I found this S10 Blazer. Now, my dad had the stretchy truck, right? That was, he ran it a few times at Super Chevy and stuff like that. The Super Chevy events at like Norwalk, Ohio, and it was in like some small magazines and stuff like that from that event. But at the time, it was still a leaf spring car with the motor in the back, right? And they started on the back half, but the back half wasn't really finished. And just set vacant from like 2000, probably from 2001, 2002 ish, early 2000s until like 2000. I graduated high school in 2009, so it would have been like right around 2009. It sat vacant till, right? Probably maybe 10 or 11, probably 2010, 2011. Right. But my junior year of high school, I'm with the street racer right at the swap meet. And I found this S10 Blazer, and I always liked the S10 Blazers. I did some work. My dad built a motor for one, small business owner guy. He had a big decent paint shop and stuff like that. And he wanted to build his son this S10 Blazer for like a really cool street strip car, right? And that thing went low sixes, but this is going back like 2000, early 2000s, right? Like 2008.
Yeah, so it's, still for the era, thing's quick for a street car.
A low 6-second, pump gas deal, and put good fuel in it when the nitrous is on. But that thing ran good, and it was a good ride. It might have been a 650 car, but whatever. 650s back then is that's a pretty good run.
Still, right?
Even today, I'm not taking nothing about it today, but yeah, even today it's a pretty good runner. So so I like the S10 Blazers, and there's also a small block Vega that my dad did a lot of work on, and I got to drive a little bit when I was like 15 years old. And I love the Vega wagons, and I love the friggin' S10 Blazers. And so 15 years old, I get this shell of an S10 Blazer, right? Mm-hmm. It's a 2-door, the one, that picture you got there, right? And I had the S10 Blazer. Yeah, that one. We could get into some details about that truck, right? So I had the S10 Blazer. Well, let me step it back a little bit. I was building the S10 Blazer. Then I had a S10 pickup truck that's not pictured. I don't even know if I have a picture of that thing. But it was an S10 pickup truck with like a 90s, mid-90s Corvette motor in it with some nitrous on it. But I drove that car. I drove 24/7. It was always on. I don't think it ever saw a slick on it, but it went 920s, which was faster than Corvettes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like
for sure.
9.0s, 920s in the 8th. But like that was my daily driver, winter, everything, right? So like it wasn't slow, but it was an overdrive transmission, and like it was fun. So 15 years oldish, I started building this S10 Blazer that we're talking about here. And that the street racer that I used to help out with basically gave me the $500 to buy this Blazer. So I'm building the thing, and it's I end up doing a conventional small block Chevy for it with a couple hot air turbos off of the Buick Regals and the like the Trans Ams and stuff like that of the late 70s, early 80s.
The turbo,
before the Grand Nationals, right? They were called hot air turbos because they were actually designed for a draw-through setup, not a blow-through setup, right? The fuel actually went through the turbo.
Actually through the turbine, right? Or not the turbine, but the impeller.
Through the compressor and stuff like that. So the tolerances weren't all that great, and the turbos weren't overly efficient. But so I built that thing, and it goes. I went 670 at 106, 108 or something like that.
Yeah, it looks spicy. I mean,
but it would do it anywhere, like legit. I used to get the like a 295 radial?
Yeah.
I think it was a 295 radial that I used to get from a local guy that did some of the radial racing back in the 2000, late 2000, like 2008, 2010 or something like that. I'd get all his tires from him for like cheap, like next to nothing. You know, right? I think I bought my first set of new drag tires Probably when I bought the dirty one after I built the Dirty 30. That was probably my first set of new like drag tires ever. Like
right? You've always
like,
just had hand-me-downs?
I've been racing. I was racing for like freaking over 10 years before I bought a new set of drag slicks, right? Nowadays we gotta get them all freaking every 25 passes, every 30 passes to be competitive. But yeah, so that truck was a freaking riot. I originally built it. Hot Rod Magazine was doing a deal in the early 2000s. In the early 2000s, where it was a hot rod challenge, where like 2008 you had to build the hot rod for $2,008, right?
Totally. Okay. Yeah. Totally.
So that's what I was building the Blazer for, right? But I was working at Tim Hortons, which was a little coffee shop, and I was also working a little bit at the machine shop, but that was more of like a internship, like just learning stuff like that, right? So I didn't have 2 pennies. I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. So I built this thing for $2,000 from like, buying and selling like little stuff off of Marketplace and Craigslist, and we could get into a whole nother story there, how I used to make some money off of Craigslist and stuff like that. But yeah. So I built this thing for like no freaking money because I didn't have no money, right? But it was a freaking riot. And I can get into some details there, but I used to race it down the street a little bit and this and that, but I'll say it. I was racing one of the people from down in the city, and they pulled a gun on me because I beat them over. I think it was a $250 bet or something like that. You know what I mean? So nice. I was like, you know what? And I was 16, 17 years old at the time. I was like, you know what? This is like, I'm not sure this is, this is not the crowd that I want to roll with, kind of thing, right? So
totally.
I basically embarrassed the guy. The thing would legit go 6s on the street, like no matter what. Like the thing just worked. Like just everything was used on it. The only new part on that car was Felpro 1003 or 1005. One of them was for aluminum head. One of them was for a steel head. This had just steel heads on it. Gaskets. Right. Like that was the only, like literally bearings were used. Everything was used. Like there wasn't nothing new on the car. Like legit nothing new. Not one fuel line. Not like nothing. But it was a fun freaking ride, and it worked.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Totally. And for $2,000, I mean, smiles per buck on
like,
that.
That's don't get me wrong. I love the Dirty 30, and I love the stretchy truck and the other cars. But that car right there was probably the funnest car I ever had, because it was like there was no investment in it. You know what I mean? Like, not to say it this way, like I let my mom borrow my pickup truck. It had a 4L60E in it, and she went from reverse to drive and broke the transmission. Right?
Yeah, so like just all the neutrals.
Yeah, it had all the neutrals, right? And she did it, and I was in the driveway, like doing something, right? And she would pull out of the driveway, went from reverse to drive. I said, "Mom, you're gonna break my transmission." She's like, "Oh, it's fine, okay." And she goes to the corner and comes back. And my cousin comes over and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go to Cabela's or not Cabela's? That was Gander Mountain, okay, little like outdoor store, because like I like hunting and fishing. I don't do it much anymore because I'm too busy doing the racing stuff. But we make it literally like 150 yards, and the truck goes. I was like, she broke it, like
sure as shit.
So I didn't have money to replace my transmission, right? And it was a weird year. So like there was only like 1 year, because it was electronic transmission, the 4L60. There was only like 1 year that transmission actually fit. So like I couldn't find like the proper year, so that was a bolt-in deal. So yeah, long story short, I was driving my friggin' 6-second turbo truck. It went mid-10s in the quarter. It went 1050s or so in the quarter. And I was driving that in the wintertime with radials on it, and like, just that was a fun truck. That's pretty awesome. So shortly after that, I made a little bit of money buying and selling stuff. So this is going to be like 2010-ish probably. We put a nitrous motor together for the stretchy truck. So I was driving that around on the street, mostly with no bed on it. Yeah, that's it. Like doing it in my mom's driveway, right? So I started driving that thing around with a nitrous motor in it, and it had just upswept big block Chevy dragster headers on it, the ones that eventually we converted over to the turbo deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I had that, and then I had my turbo truck. This is probably 2010 to 2012 ish. I had both of them together. Okay, and then I made a little bit of money buying and selling some stuff. That this chromoly Chris Alston 69 Camaro came up for sale on Racing Junk. Okay,
Nice.
and it was originally for sale for like what would today would be an absolute freaking steal, right? I think it was $12,500, right? Oh boy, so it was like 12,500.
Anytime anyone says that's cool, we drink.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Okay. So I shoot down. This is gonna get funny. That same truck that my mom broke the transmission, and I have it fixed by this time. And I'm working at Tim Hortons, and which is the little coffee shop, right? And I'm going back from serving donuts to going back to and messaging this guy on Facebook, right? And I'm trying to get a good deal on this Camaro that I really want. That's gonna be a long-term project, right? Because it's a chromoly, lightweight, 69 Camaro.
Yeah.
It was, steel roofing quarters, fiberglass front end. This is before steel roofing quarters was ever a thing. Like now it's everything nowadays. But like that was gonna be a long-term build. I was like, you know what? I wanted to do drag week in like 2009, 2010. Like I want to do all that with like my turbo blazer or the stretchy truck, right? I was like, I just don't have the money to do it. So I tried to save up money to do it. And I was like, you know what? Like it just doesn't make sense because it's an expensive trip. Like we could get into drag week here shortly, but it cost me a lot of money, and I didn't get a hotel room one freaking night, like legit, and it cost me a lot of money. Right. So yeah, I'm hustling or like I'm negotiating back and forth, and this is probably I used to work second shift at Tim Hortons, so it's probably 8 o'clock at night, and I'm messaging on Racing Junk. Right now, everyone's on Turbo Bulletin, Facebook forums, and this and that. But I'm emailing this guy back and forth through Racing Junk, and I said, "Hey, what would it take to come buy this car tomorrow?" All right, and this is after I've been watching this car for a while before I ever inferred on it, right? Because it started off as a pipe dream. Okay, I ended up buying this car for like $5,000. Okay,
Nice.
So I told the guy, I said, if I come tomorrow morning. If I'm there tomorrow afternoon, it would have been like Friday evening, I think it would have been. If I'm there Friday evening, like what's the cash price? And I think he said $7,500. I think I offered him like $5,000 or $6,000, and he said deal. Okay, so now you got to think about it. I got no trailer. Okay, my pickup truck doesn't even have a trailer hitch on it, besides just like a little ball, like
on the bumper.
Yeah. So I got no trailer hitch. I got no this. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm in New York. He's in like Raleigh, Durham area. Like it's like 12 hours away, right? And I got the money, but like at the same time, like I don't have a trailer hitch. I don't have a trailer, nothing, right? So I borrowed a friend's trailer, Jim Carlson's trailer, and but I couldn't go pick it up, right? Because I don't have a trailer hitch. So I got a hold of my buddy. And while I'm at Tim Hortons, he goes and picks up the trailer for me. Okay, like this is like no joke. So I'm at Tim Hortons, making friggin' $9 an hour. I'm getting ready to go drive to North Carolina. But it's raining out. It's miserable. Okay, and this story's gonna come together. So 10 o'clock comes. I was like, crap, I need to get to Walmart and go buy myself a trailer hitch, right? Because like I gotta go to North Carolina. I gotta be to North Carolina in like 18 hours, and like it's a 12-hour ride, right? So I go and buy right after work. I shoot to Walmart and I buy a friggin' trailer hitch to fit my pickup truck. Okay, so Walmart used to close at like 11 o'clock. This is 2011-ish, 2012. Walmart used to be open late. You know what I mean? Like a lot of Walmarts close early now, or like
right
they get whatever. So I get the trailer hitch and it's pitch black out, right? My mom's driveway is full of all my crap, right? So I got a 93 Corvette that I got in on a trade deal. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing fancy, but it was a cool cruiser, right? I got my turbo blazer, and I got the stretchy truck, which was like 22 feet long, right? That's all in the driveway. So I got to do this trailer hitch and come up with trailer wiring in the freaking street, okay? Like in front of my mom's house. So I'm, working on freaking assembling this trailer hitch in the middle of the dark with like barely freaking a flashlight, right?
Right.
And putting the trailer hitch on this pickup truck. So the trailer's sitting there with no truck attached to it because like I gotta do a trailer. So yeah. So long story short, I get the trailer hitch on the thing probably by 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I left by I think I slept for maybe a couple hours. And then I hauled butt to freaking North Carolina, and I still had work that evening or the next morning or something like that. I made it to North Carolina back in like less than 24 hours because I had work at like 6 o'clock in the morning or something like that, right? So like I made it from New York all the way back. I was back by 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Something like that, the following night. It was something like, I didn't stop for nothing. Like, nothing, right? Like, maybe a bite to eat.
Just
through a
splash a little bit of gas in and go.
And just keep on driving, right? So that was probably something like 1,400 miles, 1,500 miles round trip. Like, that was a long one. Didn't stop for nothing. So, yeah, I get this Camaro back. So now I'm still working a little bit at this machine shop. I'm doing some racing with my little turbo blazer. I got this stretchy truck that's with a nitrous motor in it. That's kind of fun. And then drag week always sells out really, really freaking quick. So I got invited to, what was it? Detroit Autorama. Okay. How, like Riddler Awards, all that crap. Detroit, like the big show up in Detroit. And so I'm headed out there. And as I'm out there, like that's when I'm on the ride to the Detroit Autorama, if I remember this properly. And drag week registration is coming open, right? But all I got is my cell phone. That's like definitely not an iPhone, right? Like it was like just a basic,
like an old flip phone,
yeah,
like 2013
flip phone
style,
back in like 2013, right?
Yeah.
So I get a hold of my mom. I was like, Mom, can you register me for drag week? And my mom gets me registered for drag week, right? So this is, I forgot, the registration used to be, I don't even know when is Detroit? March? Something like Marches or something like that.
Makes sense.
Something like that. I want to say it was March, February, March. So I get she gets me registered for drag week. It sells out in like 7 minutes and 7 minutes and like 48 seconds or some crap like that, right? It sets another record, but I'm registered. But I got all these projects and I don't know what to do, right? So I got my turbo blazer that I've been wanting to do drag week with since I've been in high school because like it would have been a cool deal. Then I want to do the hot rod stuff with I want to do drag week or like the $2,000 shootout with the turbo blazer. Mm-hmm. I got the stretchy truck that's kind of like cool, but it's not overly fast. Like it wasn't slow, but it wasn't overly fast. It was heavy as hell, and the nitrous motor made it honest probably like 700 horses or something like that.
Right,
you know,
right.
Like nothing crazy. Then I got this really badass freaking Camaro, but I just don't have the money, the skills. Like I wasn't like, nowadays I can fabricate and this and that, right? Back then I did it a little bit, but like not a freaking 6.0 certified car qualified deal, right? So I had this car for the Camaro for about a year, just sitting in my mom's driveway or in the garage, tucked away. And I had a decision to make. So I ended up doing a deal where I sold the Camaro. I got all my cash back out of it. Plus I got a Dart Big M block, Oliver Billet Max Series rods.
Nice.
A Kelly's Magnum crankshaft.
Nice.
And a bunch of other parts.
Yeah,
okay.
See, I mean, you're like 3,500 of the good at least.
Yeah, the block itself was block was new, so that $3,000 block. The rods are like at the time were $2,200 a piece, $2,400 a piece.
Hell yeah.
So like I basically tripled my money on that car. So on that investment, okay?
Yeah.
And then I pissed it all away, putting a motor together for a stretchy truck, right? So I put it I knew I didn't have the money for the best turbos and stuff like that, right? And I didn't have the money for a EFI system. So like I came out in 2013 with a blow through deal. We ended up, a good friend of mine, Don Foss. He helped me do the turbo kit and stuff like that at his house. That was in St. Louis, maybe, with the stretchy truck. It was like a Beverly Hillbilly
These are
shit.
pictures I've never even seen before.
I know, right?
I dug deep.
Yeah, he dug deep. So I go out there with the blow through setup, and it was just a struggle the whole freaking way, right? Blow through stuff, it works, but man, it was a struggle, like a real freaking struggle. And then, of course, I didn't realize how important the importance of a torque converter was with a turbo setup. You know what I mean? So I put a really tight nitrous converter in it, and it just like it didn't go nowhere. It was brutal. So yeah, we do Drag Week 2013. The final pass. I hope Keith Turk or someone's not watching, but the throttle cable broke. Okay, and it was hell. Like we could do a freaking 2-hour podcast just on that week, right? So the finals, I have a 25-foot push-pull cable that I had for one reason or another. I don't know, maybe someone loaned it to me. And the throttle cable broke. So I got 2 sets of vice grips to work the throttle for my last pass to finish Drag Week, okay?
Like hand?
Yeah, like no joke, right?
That's awesome.
So I shouldn't even admit to this shit, okay? But yeah.
I think the statute of limitations is passed.
So like I do the burnout, right? But like I'm shifting, and then you gotta let go of the steering wheel to shift, right? Because like it's a turbo 400 3-speed, okay? So I'm doing the burnout, and I just go first to third, throw it in third gear, and I'm doing my burnout, okay? So good, and I'm staging the car, and it would have been at Beach Bend for the final dragway, okay? And like I swear the starter's looking through my window, staring right at me, okay? And like I know he's looking at me, so I got the vice grips, okay? I got a picture of this a little bit. I got the vice grips down to my right, like my right hip, right? And I'm brake torquing this thing, okay? On the trans brake, like pulling, okay? And I swear he's looking at me, and it took 10 minutes for that tree to drop, right? So I'm like first, and then I let go of the steering wheel, pull second, right? And I go, and then you gotta pull third, right? Okay. I get to the track, and I let off, and the throttle's stuck, okay? But like we thought about this, okay? So I go and grab the other cable, and I gotta go freaking pull the throttle blade back shut, okay? Right. Like I could just shut off the switch panel. I was like, I don't want to look like a fool here, so like I grabbed the other, and boom, it started slowing down, right? And it was slow and it was miserable, but like it was all like, and we finished, and like it was a little bit, it was a crap show, but at the same time, like back then, Drag Week and like the Dragon Drives were a different atmosphere. Like it really was. I don't want to say it that way, right? But that was like there was a real sense of accomplishment when you completed one of those, right?
Totally.
Because like everyone did it within people didn't care that it was hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like people wanted it to be difficult because like there was the more, don't get me wrong, the camaraderie and aspect of it was there. You know what I mean? That's the part that I love, and like I still love about the Drag and Drive events, right? Like there's nothing like hanging out with your friends for 5 days straight. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
That stuff's cool as hell.
But it used to be like a torture test.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it was competition, right?
Right.
And like no one wanted to cheat themselves to a win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
totally get it.
Prime example, like 20. I have 100 examples, but like one of the examples that sticks out to my mind, right, is I was crewing. I rode with Jeff Lutz Jr. in the Honda Civic, right? His dad won that year, and like they struggled with Mad Max, right? Like that car was a 5-second Pro Mod car. We went 570s when I was helping them when we were out in Vegas, right? And that would have been 2014. They won in 2015, I think. And
I think that's right.
That car, it went 600 over and over and over. And I was telling Jeff, I was like, Jeff, this car doesn't sound the same. Turns out he had a friggin' timing retard in the car from filming the Street Outlaws deal with Mad Max on the street, right? So I had this additional timing retard in it. But in the big stuff system, there's multiple computers and multiple power management systems all in the same car. You know what I mean? Like with the Hell EFI stuff that I have now, it's all there. It's all, you know what I mean? But he'd have to pull the race pack.
You don't have to go through 7 different levels of stuff to find.
Yeah.
That
so like
one thing.
like it's an antiquated EFI system, but at the time, like it was right at that transition period of, you know, the more modern EFI systems, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So they had a time retard in it, but getting into the story, something happened to the car and like they were struggling, right? But like they wouldn't accept help from freaking no one. Like the most stupid little freaking thing. It's like, no, like, you know, like I don't want you to go into freaking get 5 gallons of fuel for me kind of thing. You know what I mean? Or like, I don't want you doing this or I don't want you to do that. Because like if we win it, we want to be able to like know that we won it. You know what I mean? And like, I understand the camaraderie part of it. Don't get me wrong. But in my opinion, that happens way too much nowadays. You know what I mean? Like there's that cutoff point where you're becoming more of a mule than a helper. You know what I mean? And like back in the day when you got put in impound, like you were in freaking impound. Like if you survived a day in impound, you were a BMF. Like there was no questions about it, right? Because like you survived impound. Like there was no one that touched that car besides you. There wasn't people running out to get you parts. There wasn't people running out to get you. Ask everyone around you for tools and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
For anything.
Like you could ask permission for the tower to make an announcement for parts, right? But like you couldn't just be like, hey, like this guy over here has the parts that I need. Like, can I go get parts from him? Like that wasn't like that. You know what I mean? You had to survive impound with the crap you brought in. And there was a lot of cars that got kicked out of the early Dragon drives because they didn't have the parts with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like that's what I miss about it. And I don't want to say it this way, but that's a big reason why I haven't competed in the Dragon drives, right? Because like we have a pretty good social media following, right? And like we're able to, we don't have the biggest, that's for damn sure, right? But like we have 20,000 on YouTube, we have right around 35,000 on Facebook, right? If I need to source parts, I could source parts pretty good, right?
Right.
Not necessarily because I'm looking for a lot of parts that I still can't find. And like it's taken me 3 years to put this one motor together because I can't get all the parts that I need. But it gives you a venue to get stuff, right? Like in impound, your tuner shouldn't be able to send you a tune. Like, I'm sorry, that should not happen. It should be the driver and the co-driver. You got to tune your car. You got to do the chassis stuff. Like, if you want to text back and forth, that's one thing. But when you're FaceTiming or they legit like send you another file for your profiler, or they send you another tune-up, like that they're sitting in the stands or sitting over here, like that's BS. Like, I'm sorry, that's not.
I mean, unless you want to ride with your tuner.
Well, then so be it. That's the that's the part of the game then, right? You know, if you want to pay your tuner to ride with you, well, then you're known as the guy that paid this tuner to ride with them, right? But when you're saying, oh, I went and did this by myself, but you got your chassis guy there that's, standing outside the pits and saying, hey, give it 2 more clicks, on compression, you're going to have to leave with a little bit more power, or, this or that. Like, no, it's supposed to be man and machine to accomplish the road and beat the event, right? Because the thing, it's just like us no prep racing that I've been doing now, and I like that aspect of it. And don't get me wrong, like I've knocked off my fair share of like people that have paying $2,500 for their tuner to show up, and that's not to say it that way, but like that's freaking cool when like me and my girlfriend show up to a track with a new car, and like we make a guy that just paid $2,500 for his tuner to show up on the weekend, and we make that guy look silly, like that. Like I like that, right? But at the same time,
that stuff's fun.
I know, because my job is to beat the track, right? And in a Dragon Drive event, it's about the pilot and the co-pilot make and do with what they got, MacGyvering this or that or whatever, to beat the event, right? But when you allow people to send your tune-ups to you, or you allow this and you allow that, and you allow people to meet you on the side of the road to give you more parts, you know what I mean? Or like, the events lost a lot of what drew me to them. You know what I mean?
That makes
And I hate to
sense.
say that. And like, if I come back, like, do I feel like if I took the big wing off a straight gangster and like, we run pretty good. I'm not gonna tell you times, but like, that car's pretty damn good. You know what I mean? Like, that car boogies. Like, we're well into the 4-second range, doing on a 28-inch tall tire, doing small tire, no prep racing. You know what I mean? We're like, we've been deep into the 160 foots on a 28 with the car, but like, no prep stuff. You know, we still go like, we've like, we can go mid-teen 60 foots on a 28-inch tall tire on a no prep
Hell
surface,
yeah.
right? And the car works pretty well, but at the same time, like, there's no reason for me to beat up my stuff to do a drag and drive, because I'm competitive, right? And I want to compete, but I want to compete on a playing field that's not skewed. You know what I mean?
An even playing field.
And I understand, like, business and racing and competition. You know, like, that's one of the cool things about what we do. I'm not saying it this way because I'm not sounding like a party pooper, right? But like, I like being able to compete against people that have way more resources than me and beating them, right? But at the same time, I have resources in my back pocket that if I do a drag week, I don't want to use. You know what I mean? I don't want to make the post on Facebook. Hey, can someone sneak me in some parts? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like that's not what it's about. You know what I mean?
Well, and then all of a sudden you've got 30,000 people looking in their, in their
right?
toolbox,
And, like,
where the dude down,
yeah,
pitted 2 away from you
yeah,
that
like,
has 100 YouTube
yeah,
followers.
like, we got 35,000 followers on Facebook, right? And it's not unlikely to have us have a 3 million people reach in a 30-day period. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, 3 million, like, you could source some stuff, like, right? But some people are like, hey, if they're changing the rules for you, wouldn't you take it? And it's like, I don't want to win that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, when we're racing, if the guy needs 5 minutes to fix his crap, well, then take your 5 minutes to fix your crap, right? Like, I'm not gonna go in there and purposely roll my car into the burnout box just because I'm scared to run you. Like, no, like, we run against some of the best guys in the country, right? And like, if you need 5 minutes to fix your crap, take your 5 minutes to fix your crap. I'm not gonna roll in the burnout box to put you on the clock. You know what I mean? Like, I don't race that way, because at the end of the day, to my own undoing to a certain point, because like, I've screwed myself a lot of times by giving people a lot of time, right? And then they come back and they put you on the clock. Like, they put you on the clock, when you're still suiting up, or like, I lost freaking $5,000 of going into the finals. This was last year. I gave the guy like 45 freaking minutes to get his stuff fixed, right?
Right.
And the guy, legit, without even telling me, this is after I offered him parts and this and that and helped him fix his car, right? The guy goes in the burnout box. Well, I'm not even like, I'm just like talking to spectators and stuff like that, because it's literally legit been over 30 minutes, right? And this was with the old car, the Homegrown Hustler, and that car was very, very good. And not to say it that way, but that car basically did exactly what I wanted to every freaking pass. You know what I mean? And like,
Right.
The car made enough power so I could leave soft if I needed to, and like, just give myself a freaking tuning window that's just, it's not going to mess up, kind of thing, right? But if your tire pressure is 2 pounds low because you've been sitting in 50-degree weather, you know what I mean? And your transmission temperature dropped freaking 40 degrees because you've been sitting in 50-degree weather, you know what I mean? And then the guy hurry up and bumps you in, or jumps in the burnout box to put you on the clock for 2 minutes. Like, that sucks.
That's dirty pool.
Yeah, now your transmission's cold and your tire pressure 2 pounds low. The car's not going to make a pass. Like, it isn't. You know what I mean? We slowed down. I think we slowed down. This is 8th mile stuff. We slowed down 4/10, which is like 4 car lengths, and the guy got me by like a fender. You know what I mean? Like, that's just BS. You know what I mean? Like, I don't race that way. But at the same time, by giving people time, it's came back and screwed me several times. You know what I mean? It's situations like that.
Totally.
But it's the same thing. Go on.
Sorry. So back it up a little bit. Stretchy Truck obviously did drag week 13, 14, race week 15, and then did you do drag week 15 as well in that car?
Yeah, I did. So yeah, I 2015, I had 2 weeks vacation at my job up in New York, and the one was to do Rocky Mountain Race Week, and the one was to do Drag Week. Okay, so this gets into friggin' a little bit of a pickle here, right? So I do 2013 blow through setup. 2014, first year I come out with the EFI Holley EFI system on the car and some Borg Warner turbos, and in testing the car was heavy. It was 4185 with no bed on it, something like that.
Wow.
It was freaking crazy, right? And I'm still early on with the stuff, and I show up to Drag Week 2014 with maybe 2 or 3 passes on the car.
Okay.
Give me back 1 second. Matt, do you want to come on here? I need to use the restroom real quick. I'll be back in 1 second. Maddie will jump on here and talk about something.
All right.
Come on.
Cool.
They're coming.
Miley's hanging out.
Hi, Maddie.
Hi.
All right. So we got a lot of background from Nick, obviously.
Yeah.
Give us your background into what got you into, hanging out with racing and being cool, cruising around with Nick and racing and doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we, when I grew up, we had no family that was into racing or anything like that. Like I wasn't immediately a part of any kind of automotive stuff. So, I've always been hands-on with anything that I've liked doing, and I've always been more of a tomboy, I guess. So I didn't mind riding four-wheelers. When I got a little bit older, I had some friends, I guess, that had four-wheelers, but we were never like doing anything mechanical with any of it. And when Nick and I started dating, we met in 2016, and when we started dating, he wasn't even building. Like he was in between vehicles at that point, so he was getting ready to start building the Dirty 30.
Right.
And I had no idea who he was or what he did or anything like that, but really just any experience that I've gotten has been from what I've done with Nick the past multiple years. So at the time when he started building the Dirty 30, I didn't have any appreciation for the imagination that he had with building the cars. And like looking back on that now, I'm going through pictures and seeing different things that he's done and how he's grown too, being a fabricator when he's worked on these other cars. Like I start to see that a little bit more and appreciate it more, but it was all brand new to me and I had no idea what I was doing with anything. And it's taken a lot of time to learn what I do know. And I know that there's so much more that I can learn and advance on, but I've just try to enjoy everything that we're doing as it comes. So
that's awesome. That's super fun. And the Dirty 30, you actually got to make a couple of passes in even, right?
Yeah. Yep. I was going to touch on that a little bit. We had an open test day at one of the tracks in Ohio when we had the Dirty 30. So I was able to make some passes in that, and then making some passes in the Homegrown Hustler as well. I had competed in one of my first races in that truck in Ohio also. But we had planned on, before I found out I was pregnant with Miley, we planned on building a wagon that I've got and getting some seat time for me as well. But she put a hold on those things.
That happens. That's part of the deal. While we're talking about her, I've got Nick sent me a video of the gender reveal burnout from that.
Yeah.
So let's get a look at that. That's going to be fun.
That was a pretty cool deal. So
there you go. Yeah.
We only had the car together for 3 days.
Yeah, it was a
2
really
days.
short period.
Like the car was together. Like I was busting in my butt to get that car done so we could have it for the gender reveal, right? Because we were coming up to New York to it was my mom's birthday and JJ's arm drop race, right? And we need to do the gender reveal too. And we were supposed to do it down in North Carolina. We had this big huge thing planned in North Carolina. and friends of ours. Boost is my friend on the YouTube and stuff like that, and his wife, Nikki, were like planning out this whole big thing, right? And we met a realtor down there that we were gonna. They are basically because we met these people and they're just a freaking awesome lady. She's a big realtor down in North Carolina in the Mooresville area, and we were in the Lincolnton area where we built the car in Lincolnton, North Carolina, at our friend's shop, just outside the overhang. We built a pretty good 4-second car out under the overhang, like in the rain and crap like that. So
love that, man.
They were planning on. We had this whole big thing planned out, and then the machine shop kind of screwed us, and we didn't have all of our parts for the deal, and we had to cancel. We had to cancel airplane tickets and all that crap because they didn't get the machine work done on the motor, because we were supposed to do the gender reveal down there in North Carolina, and they were going to come in to our first no prep race with the car, and it was going to be like it was going to be big. So unfortunately, we had to delay that 2 weeks.
I don't know. I feel like it was longer than that. I waited so long to find out the gender.
Yeah, like I want to say we had to wait a whole freaking month or something like that. Yeah. The car is done. The car's sitting there, and like I had to fix a bunch of stuff that the machine shop screwed up, and we fixed it all up, and we come up to New York and do the gender reveal, and but Maddie's like, "How are you gonna find out what the gender is?" I was like, "I'll figure out when I get out of the car." So her dad and someone else.
Oh, my mom. Yeah.
Maybe her mom and dad went in front of the car with the poppers, right? So like the confetti poppers. So like I could see what it is, because I was like, I'm not letting someone else drive my freaking car, like
exactly.
I'm doing the burnout myself, and it's like if I have to see what it looks like figure it out after, like I'll figure it out after, but like I can't let someone jump in my car to do the burnout, like legit the first burnout ever in the freaking car. Like
exactly. You're doing the first burnout in your car. That's it
was a pretty wild burnout. I was like, I can't fudge this one up, right? So I put the two-step at like 4,200 RPM and leave at like 10 pounds of boost, and like I made sure I was going to do a burnout, right? And yeah, it was probably like 180 miles an hour with the wheel speed or something like that. But like I made sure I was going to do a good one.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So yeah.
So again, kind of unfortunately, stretchy truck crashed.
Yeah.
Bad news.
It ran. So we ran 2014 and 2015. Racing in the mountains out there, man. I burnt up a piston in Pueblo, Colorado. I think it was.
Yep.
Maybe Pueblo. And but like Rocky Mountain Race Week, absolutely like. If you guys have the ability to go do Rocky Mountain Race Week, like highly recommend it. Like out in the mountains, absolute beautiful scenery. I almost went off the mountain there, so make sure you got like, don't drive on slicks or street slicks. Like have treaded tires for like Rocky Mountain Race Week, because like if it's raining out and you're coming through a mountain pass, like you want to have treaded tires on fast. Like it can get like I was completely sideways and there was a semi coming, and I was sideways with a Harbor Freight 4x8 trailer and a 20-foot long truck sideways, and like there's no guardrails out there. I was like, oh my goodness, and I'm whacking the throttle, right? Because I was on QuickTime Pros, Hoosier QuickTime Pros, some big ones, and I'm trying to get the tire to like bounce basically to get the thing to set, because like
to do something
right,
skid.
So I'm just like what, and I got the thing to friggin' like got the car bounce enough to like get it set back, but it was like I thought I was done. Like I didn't think about jumping out the driver's window, but like I probably should have had the freaking door open, because like it was legit about to go over the cliff. And I don't know if there was a car behind me or not, because I did Rocky Mountain Race Week solo. I did Drag Week solo too, but like if you're doing Rocky Mountain Race Week, have like real tires on the car with like real tread, not like DOT approved tires, like treaded tires. So yeah. So we were racing. We came back up to New York. Alex Taylor and Dennis Taylor, stuff like that. I stayed down there in Boonville for about a year. Alex had the Camaro, and then they did the Ranchero.
Okay, yep.
The Ranchero build, and then this is before the newest 55. I went down there for several weeks to help him with the 55 too. Like 2 summers ago when they first brought that out. But yeah, so I come back up to New York for the final drag race of our local track. Right, the track was basically a done deal. There was no one that was going to spend the money to keep the track open. They were planning on demolishing the track and opening up another exit because there's a big food distribution warehouse right there.
Okay.
Like just real close to the track, and they're going to add additional exit there just for the food place, and then they're going to open up part of the rest of part of the racetrack for like storage or something like that, right? So that was going to be October. It was end of October, like late October, like cold up in New York, and it was a really cold day, and I was the third wreck that day, like back to back to back. It was cold. It was cold. It was dewy. I debated about not even making the pass. Like I'm a happy-go-lucky guy, and like even I was having second thoughts about making that pass. So I was like, you know what? Like I'll make the pass. Like it was late. It was way past dark. Like the dew was setting in. It was nasty out, and I was on big tires without bead locks. And like I promised after this one, I promised myself I'd never run a car without bead locks or anything fast without bead locks because it sashayed a little bit, and the tire actually folded under and came off the bead. And when the tire came off the bead, the track isn't overly. It's an older track, and it hasn't been resurfaced in I don't know. I couldn't tell you how long. Like there's cracks and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And it came off the bead, slid for probably 5 feet with the tire off the bead, and that the right rear tire caught the lip, and it friggin' like teeter-tottered it. It wasn't a bad wreck or nothing like that. It was a wreck, and it beat up the body and stuff like that, and beat up engine parts and this and that. But I ended up buying another body at the friggin' scrapyard and running the car a little bit more after that, but it didn't have no value. Really.
Right.
So after that, I stripped it. I took my good motor out of it and some other parts, and the rear end and back half is in an El Camino now, and just stripped the car after that, basically. And I started putting the Dirty 30 together. So the Dirty 30 was a barn find that I found about
and
4 hours.
What was it? It's a 1930
Plymouth.
Was it Dodge Brothers?
No, 1930 Plymouth U sedan.
Plymouth.
Yep, letter U sedan. Yeah, cool as hell. Like that's you gotta like and subscribe to the Hustlin' Horsepower page because that car met a pretty devastating demise. Like just really, I don't know if you could come up with a more unfortunate circumstances going around how we lost the 30. But yeah,
but how? Give us the combo on the 30 and kind of some of the build process and whatnot, and why that was special.
That car, I pulled it out of a barn, legit sat in a barn since 1956. I still have the license plate somewhere with a metal tag that says 1956, like riveted onto the thing. But yeah, it pulled out of the barn with wooden wheels, like a complete freaking car, and the back. The car was freaking pristine for being a New York car, but it sat under a barn for like legit since 1956, and like
it's awesome.
Like it was in like good shape. So I picked this car up, and taking like 2 steps back, I'll touch on it real quick. Did Rocky Mountain Race Week? Did Sick Week, or sorry, did Rocky Mountain Race Week, then Drag Week in September, and just before I went Thursday, I want to say it was Thursday afternoon. I got called into the office. I'm leaving for Drag Week in St. Louis. I think maybe started in St. Louis. Yeah, because there was Black Friday or something like that, or Black Saturday they called it in St. Louis, and it was all black people. That's the name of the event, was like Black Friday or something like that. And I go out to St. Louis, and like I made a couple test passes Friday night there, but I was like the only white guy on the premises, like legit. It was only like you're only allowed to be a black person there. It was like it was a cool event. They had some really cool stuff.
Was it a bike?
It was like bikes and donks and whatever. So that's 2014. So Thursday night, I get called into the office at my job. Right, I used to. At this job, I was fixing lifts, like big aerial lifts and stuff like that.
Okay.
Scissor lifts, aerial lifts, sky jacks, all that crap. And it was a job. It wasn't a freaking career, right? It was just a job. And I still lived at home. That was, I don't know, that's 2013. So, yeah, I was like 20, 22 years old, something like that, 23 years old at the time. Still pretty young. And I got called into the office on Thursday, and they said, you know what happened today? I said, yeah, my coworker overdosed in the bathroom. They're like, well, you can't go on vacation this week or next week. I said, what the hell are you talking about? Like, my vacation was approved. Like, I'm registered for this event. Like, I was like,
I'm going, man.
It's paid for. Like, I'm going. So, like, I said, like, at this point, Holly helped me out a little bit, and Borg Warner helped me out a little bit on, like, some parts and stuff like that. And, like, Drag Week's a big freaking publicity thing. Like, the year before, I was like, it was the top, the Stretchy Truck was a top 10 video on Power Block TV and on 1320 video, like millions and millions of views. And like, I had an obligation. I wasn't going to screw the companies that helped me out, no matter how big or how small. I wasn't going to screw them over,
right.
by like being like, oh, sorry guys. And like, how the hell do you cancel someone's vacation? Like literally 24 hours before they're leaving for their vacation, right? So yeah. So my boss said, hey, you got to do what you got to do. So I was like, whatever. So Friday after work, I jumped in my motorhome that I bought when I was living down in Arkansas. So I didn't have to rent an apartment or nothing like that. And I drove out to St. Louis, did Drag Week. I come back, and Monday morning, I punch in. And as I'm going into the punch clock, my toolbox is in the middle of the bay. I was like, motherfucker. Like, okay. I was like, I see how this one's going to go. So, yeah. So I got fired for going on my vacation. That was scheduled and everything because they said my vacation was no longer approved 24 hours before I was supposed to go, right? I could have fought that one or whatever. So, yeah. So, Drag Week was a really expensive expense. Rocky Mountain Race Week was 1,509 miles away each way. So that was a 3,000 mile trip in a freaking vehicle that only got, I don't know, 8 miles to the gallon or something like that. You know what I mean? Like a lot of freaking money. So, yeah, I was damn near broke at that point. But like, I didn't care. Like, it's wintertime in New York. Like, there's nothing to do but to make money. You know what I mean? Like, work overtime and make money. Totally. So, yeah. So I get fired from my job literally the day I get back from Drag Week, right? I get fired. And no unemployment, no nothing like that, whatever. So I'm just like trying to figure out like what job do I want to work next? Like what job is going to give me the flexibility to try to expand the race and stuff. And like, cause like I have like at the time it was like a 5-year, 10-year plan to like, eventually start doing this stuff by myself, you know what I mean? Like working for myself. And like, I've always been a hustler, like a legal hustler, but like, I'm sure drug dealing would be a whole lot easier and less stressful, but like, I've always been like a hustler, you know what I mean? And so I'm sitting idle, right? And a late friend of mine who wasn't doing too good, I didn't know it at the time, but he had cancer and like he wouldn't tell me, right? And he was an older guy. He was in his 60s. His name was Bob Wagner. Awesome freaking guy. He offered me a job at his place. He used to, he worked building polymers, like ceramics at a big ceramics company that were like in the Blackhawks and stuff like that, right? So they could get shot over and over and over, and these hexagon plates would just keep on falling down, right? So like I guess they'd surround them in like Black Hawk helicopters and fighter jets, so they could get shot over and over and over because
in the same spot.
The same spot. Because like you could shoot this thing, right? Like you could shoot this thing and it turns into dust, right? Like it's hard as hell, but like it just turns into dust, right? And it would stop. They said a single plate that was just like dinky, right? Like small little plates. They'd stop like a 9mm at point blank range, right? But there was like layers of these, probably like real thick, so they could, I'm not
Right.
like I'm probably not anti-aircraft guns, but like you could shoot these things repeatedly and not damage it. So he worked at that company, and I think that's part of the reason why he got cancer and stuff like that. But who knows? So he offered me. I was broke, right? Like broke. Like I I refused to swipe my credit card to go racing. Like that was a promise that I made to myself. Like early on. Like I did drag week all the way up. I did Rocky Mountain Race Week. I did all that crap. I never had a credit card. Like I refused to have a credit card. You know what I mean?
Smart.
That turns out that came back to bite me in my ass when it was time to buy a house because I had no credit. Like they said, like you don't have any bad credit, but you just don't have credit. So at that time, I got like 4 credit cards and like started spending money like crazy and paying them off. And yeah, was able to buy a house within 6 months, but I couldn't buy a 4-wheeler like 6 months previous to that, right? So yeah, but yeah, so he gets cancer and he offers me 10 gallons of race fuel. I didn't know he had cancer at the time, but he offers me 10 gallons of race fuel and he throws me $100 to go enter this race, like the last race at our local racetrack, right? Just a good friend. You know what I mean? Like he was, just at mid-60s, he had a house, he was established in this and that, but like to me, like that meant a lot, right? And
Yeah, that was everything.
I don't think I ever told anyone that story. Like I don't think anyone knows that. But yeah, he gave me $100. I want to say it was $100 bill and like 10 gallons of race fuel. And he said, go out here and go have some fun racing. And so we go out there and I win first round. I think I won second round and third round comes up. And that's when the truck tipped over and freaking lost the truck. So I'm broke dick. Like I just got this freaking money from this guy and like, I feel like I let him down kind of thing. And it's like, damn it. Like I was like, I'm going to build something freaking cool. Like I've always wanted an old gangster car, like a 4-door, 4-seater. I didn't have a kid at the time, but my nephew was a year old or something like that at the time. I was like, I'm gonna build a car that I could take this kid out to ice cream in and like take him to school in or something like that, or like do some really cool stuff in it. Everyone was like, Nick, you're freaking nuts. Like you're gonna go build a 7-second 4-door like a 1930s vehicle. Like there's no freaking way. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. Like watch. Like I know how fast we went. Like I know how fast we went with the stretchy truck. I was like, this car's gonna run pretty good. Like this car's gonna be cool. Like it's got the wheelbase. I did some studying on it, but like the car's got it was 112-inch wheelbase. The motor sat 3 inches. The mid plate was 3 or 4 inches behind the front spindle. I was like, this car's gonna work. Like I promise you, this chassis is gonna work. So I did most of the cage and stuff like that and the rear end and blah blah blah. Not building the whole rear end, but I did a lot of that stuff just in my mom's 2-car garage. And
Nice.
I didn't start on that project for 6 months or a year, okay? Because like I just didn't have no money. So I spent. It was cold. Like October, I bought that thing end of October, November, even early December. I'm out in like my mom's driveway, right? Acid washing this car and stuff like that, and just sweat equity in the car, right? I don't think I put $150 in the car the first I didn't put $200 into that car in the first probably 4 months I had it, you know what I mean? But like it was all just like making this thing really freaking nice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted the floors. I wanted this car to last me forever, you know what I mean? Like it was a car that it was gonna be my first build, like
real build, right?
Like real build from like barn find to like a 25-3 certified, 25-3 certified, 7-second street strip car that I could drive freaking just about anywhere, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I acid washed the body and treated the metal and stuff like that. Just a whole bunch of like stuff just to make sure that it was going to be like really nice for a really long time. And then I met Maddie during that period of time, and I said like, just so you know, you don't know me. Like this isn't like I'm in a lull period right now. Like I got like I'm gonna drag race and I'm gonna do this for like the rest of my life, and like I'm not gonna live in New York my whole life. Like I'm leaving. Like at some point I'm leaving New York. I don't know exactly when that is, but like I'm gonna be. I plan on doing this stuff for like the rest of my life, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think she thought I was BSing or something like that, but like no, like it's true. And I've stuck to my word on that. I don't think she fully expected it when like we first met line dancing or whatever. And but yeah. So I built this car, and I got a shout out to Jeff Lutz and Jeff Lutz Jr. and stuff like that, and Chris, and they knew I was doing a lot of the turbo or the cage and stuff like that in my mom's garage, and it's freaking snowing out, and I'm bending pipes, right? And like, we didn't have money, right? Like garage doors like broken, so like the garage door's half open, and like I'm bending pipes, and it's like legit snowing on me as I'm bending. Like I just paid like $7 a foot for chromoly tubing, you know what I mean? Or I think it was $5.25 at that point. Yeah. But like I'm bending like the high like I'm trying to build a really nice car, like, and I'm getting snowed on. You know what I mean? So like when people saw me building straight gangster and I'm getting rained on, I promise you it's 10 times better than getting snowed on. You know what I mean? Like, so like yeah, so like when people on the internet like talk crap, it's like you guys don't have a freaking clue. Like nothing. Like you're freaking clueless. Like I was changing turbos when it was freaking snowing out because my daily driver was broke. You know what I mean? Like race car daily. You know, kind of thing. So yeah. So I
daily.
So early, middle of spring, I got a decent job. I worked for a crane company for a little while, building cranes, fixing cranes, and this and that. And then they got sick of my racing shit too, but they still liked me. I was a really good worker. The bosses liked me. I was capable of doing my job and stuff like that, right? But I like racing. You know what I mean? And they were downsizing a little bit because it was going to be the slow period in time, and they were going to fire a guy that was hired just after me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that guy had a family. I was still living at home, you know what I mean? Like I'm traveling all the time and I'm doing like my stuff, but like I didn't have a house payment and stuff like that. I didn't have a family to feed, you know what I mean? So like I got fired from that job partially on purpose kind of thing, you know what I mean? So that guy could keep his job, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't quit, but at the same time, like, that guy was able to keep his job, you know what I mean? So, but I already passed the tests and stuff like that to get hired at, like, a career type job, you know what I mean? Like, a real job. And I already went through the whole vetting process or whatever, right? Selection process and stuff like that to get this pretty decent job up in New York working for the public transportation company. So I knew that job was going to come in the next like probably 2 to 3 weeks, month or something like that. You know what I mean? So like it wasn't that big of a deal. So yeah. So I'm working at the bus company job. I'm doing the Dirty 30, still finishing up that build. That build took ended up probably being about a year and a half total, something like that. But the last, like, I built most of that car in like 6 months, like the last 6 months, a lot of it in like the last 2 months. So at that job, I switched to third shift and I switched to Wednesdays and Thursdays off on third shift. Okay. So this is going to get a little bit difficult, but so I'd work at my normal job. I'd go down to Jeff Lutz's place. I brought the Dirty 30 down there because I didn't have, the tools and stuff like that to make the car as nice as I wanted to. And I was able to get, the more information and learn from those guys because I was traveling with those guys a little bit, doing like American Outlaws Live and some other stuff before like No Prep Kings was No Prep Kings, you know what I mean? Yeah. And helping them crew and stuff like that. So that was during the period where I'm not racing myself, right? Mostly. So their shop is down in Pittsburgh, 3.5 hours south of my job where I live, right? So I'd come back into town. I'd leave their shop at like 9 o'clock at night. Like 7 o'clock at night. And I'd drive straight to work. Okay. Then I'd work Friday night from 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. And then I'd pick up a double. So I'd work from 11. I'd work on the car all day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay. Because I'd get off of work at 8 a.m. on Wednesday. And I drive 3 hours down to Pittsburgh. And this is when Jeff Lutz was building the 57 Chevy, the yellow one. So we built those cars like we would legit work 20 hours a day. Sometimes we'd work 2 days straight, just working. And I miss that because like I like that environment. It's screwed up, but like I like that, right? And everyone else would go home, and Jeff Jr. had his family and stuff like that. But me and Jeff were like we were working on cars like literally 20 hours a day, just like boom, boom, boom. He had a deadline to make, and I had a deadline to make. He had to he had to get the car together for the Street Outlaws filming, and I wanted to make it to Drag Week. So there was a couple times where they trusted me enough where they went out to go film No Prep Kings or early stages of No Prep Kings, and they let me stay at the shop by myself, right? And I just made sure like I didn't go out the front door because like in case anyone was watching, like I had key to the back door and stuff like that. So yeah, I worked out of the shop, and I'd work legit 3 to 4 overtimes a week between Friday or Saturday morning technically, and and Wednesday morning. So I worked constantly, like literally constantly. And then Wednesday morning would come up, and I'd drive 3.5 hours south, and I'd get there by lunchtime, and I'd work from lunchtime until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Then back up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I work from 8 o'clock in the morning until midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning. Sleep for a few hours, and then I'd work until 7 o'clock at night, and then drive back up to New York so I could make it in time for my normal job. And I did that for 2 months, probably 2 or 3 months.
That's a long time.
It was it was well over 100 hours a week that I was working. I was working about 70 hours a week at my normal job. At least 70 hours a week. No, that's only 3 overtime shifts. Probably 75 hours a week at my normal job.
Wow.
Something like that. And then another 30 down in Pittsburgh between those 30, 35 hours and 40 hours in those 3 days down in Pittsburgh. So yeah, that was
and like a 3-hour drive down there, right?
Yeah, so yeah, 7 hours. 7 hours round trip, about 7-8 hours round trip. Hey. So yeah, it was a lot, but I was able to work the overtime to pay for the parts to get the Dirty 30 together and stuff like that because I wanted that car to be, that car was going to be a long-term car, so I wanted to make sure I had the parts on it that needed to accomplish the task.
Right.
Hey, babe, you want to step in for a second? We'll get into the good stuff here.
Can't wait.
We're back.
They're back.
Miley's gonna have one heck of a work at that car.
Heck yeah. So Maddie, so you're you kind of come into the picture while he's building the Dirty 30, and you kind of, your timing's perfect because we're building the Dirty 30 right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you just show up and you're like, who in the hell is this guy that's working 7 jillion hours and driving 8 hours and building this car, and I actually want to hang out with him? Are you sane? Are you a sane person?
No, can't be sane if that's what you're getting involved in. But it was cool because I was able to, like I said, I love being hands-on, and I was able to see, like, watch Nick, like, bending the tubing for the roll cage, like watching him weld and put all the pieces together and stuff like that. Like I said, the imagination that he has, like, it was really cool to be able to watch that. And to be able to get involved with that and be part of a big project like that was really something that started the self-rewarding aspect of what the racing is to us. So when he took it to the first drag week, he'll get talking about that in a minute, but I wasn't able to go to that. But for me to be able to watch him race it, or make passes down the track, like, and know that I was a part of that, and like, hey, this thing's actually running, and it, all the hours that you put into a project, you feel really rewarded when you see it actually doing something. So
totally, all of a sudden, it's not just a pile of metal; it's a car.
Yeah,
and it races.
Yep.
And it was freaking cool.
Yeah,
it was super freaking cool. I mean, that car's badass.
Yeah. So that right there, I make it to drag week, right? We're after a complete mad thrash, like freaking insane, right?
Well, you make it to drag. You still had a thrash at
drag
week.
So I show up to drag
week. Yeah, it wasn't running when you got there, right? You worked on it in the tech line?
It never ran, right? I'm not going to blame Maddie for this one. It was my own damn fault. But
I saved you.
Holly EFI system, right? Like the established outputs in the coils, okay? So I show up to drag week, no turbo plumbing, no this, no that, no like a bunch of like other stuff, right?
Tow it through tech.
Tow it through tech, but like I got what it takes to tow it through tech, and I got 24 hours to make a pass by like 3:00 on Monday, right?
Right.
And I have enough confidence in myself that like this car is capable of doing this deal, right? Like is it a little bit of a stretch? Yeah, but like I got enough parts and pieces that I brought with me to like put this deal together, right? And make it happen. And like me being as stubborn as I am, like I don't usually give up, you know, right? Like that's a good thing and a bad thing to a certain point. Yeah. But yeah, it hasn't cost me. It hasn't really lost me anything being stubborn to like as far as like successful wise goes, right?
Right.
But like it beats you up a little bit sometimes. So we towed the thing through tech, and I'm trying to get this thing started, and it'll spit and sputter and stuff like that a little bit, right? And I was like, you know what? Like it's not getting fuel pressure, but it's got a belt drive pump. It's the first time doing a belt drive pump, right?
Okay.
So I realized I had the pump backwards. Okay, no big deal. It's an Aeromotive, 1115 pump, just a regular like mechanical pump, right? You got to flip the inlet and the outlet. It's a freaking 2-minute job, you know, like nothing big. So now I got fuel pressure, but things still not starting. So I was like, I disconnect the fuel pump. I was like, I'm gonna see if this thing will start with just a freaking little bit of ether, right? And meanwhile, I went through all the checks. I put the timing light on number 1 cylinder, and it's right. Like, and it's a EFI system. So I was like, I'm gonna disconnect the cam sync and run this thing in batch fire because it's a 60-2 wheel. I could just run the thing off the crank trigger and just do that, right?
Right.
Same freaking thing. Number 1 cylinder is firing right as it's supposed to, like 38 degrees, right? And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And I can't figure it out, And there's a picture somewhere. I'm freaking forgetting I'm drawing a blank. There's several people that were trying to help us get this thing together, right? And like, we can't figure it out. Like, legit can't figure it out. Like, it's got spark. It's got fuel. Like, it's got compression. Like, the motor should run. I can't figure this out. So, Jeff Lutz Jr., who, like, good friend of mine, right? They make it like 30, 40 miles on drag week, right? With his buddy driving. Sorry, Ben. But Ben's driving, not paying attention. And they picked up, or like, I want to say it had a dry sump system on it, right? And they cut the oil line got friggin' cut on a railroad track or something like that, right? And the thing's got no oil pressure. And they wiped the bearings out of the thing like 40 miles outside of the freaking track, right?
Damn it. So, and this is the Civic, right?
Then the Civic, right?
Yeah.
So me and Junior finished in like 2nd place or 3rd place the year before. His dad wins it the year before, and they make it like 40 miles the next year, right? And I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad for the dude, right? So like, cause like that car was like, it ran decent on drag week the year that we came in, like, I want to say we came in 3rd place, but like, yeah, I think we came in 3rd place. But that car's like got potential to be fast, like lightweight, makes really good power, conventional small block, like old dirt track motor. But that thing makes like 1,600, maybe more. Might make more than that. And that thing weighs like 2,200 pounds, right? Like the thing's got potential to freaking fly. And so we get a truck and trailer and we go pick them up. And meanwhile, I've been up for like days, like no drugs, no nothing, just like motivation is a hell of a drug. Okay, people think I'm
yeah,
drug,
exactly.
That. I talk a little bit too fast, and my brain goes a little bit too fast. But like, I promise you, like, I don't do no drugs. There's no way I could afford this crap if I was doing drugs.
That's always what I say. Like, I know I don't do drugs. I can't afford that crap. But one day, like my buddy Mike says, one day, like I'll be like 75, and I'm gonna be like, dude, cocaine, let's go.
If I take that shit, it's gonna slow me down.
Anyway,
that'll probably be a downer to me the way I live my life. Like, like that shit would probably slow me down. So, yeah, I'm gonna do a T-shirt like that. Cocaine. That would slow me down. I don't need those downers. I'm high on drag racing.
That's right. Drag racing. That's a hell of a drug. That's your next Hustle and Horsepower shirt.
That might be, right? So yeah. So we go and get a truck and trailer, and we pull them back to the track, And my buddy was like, "Do you want to just get a hotel tonight?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." And I told him, I said, as soon as I lay my head on a pillow, I want to figure this out. No joke. We get in the hotel room. We try to get food, but by this time it's too freaking late out. There's nothing. And he goes to take a shower because we've been working for legit, it's Monday night now, right? And we've been working since Friday, and since I got off of work at 3:00, right? So we haven't stopped from 3:00 Friday until Monday night, legit. We stopped a little bit. He'd drive a little bit in the car, and I drive a little bit in the car to get to Cordova. I think it was Cordova was the start track that year.
That sounds right. Yep.
But that's a long ride from New York, so I want to say it was 10, 12 hours. So we're swapping back and forth. At one point, we were doing a Nick and Maddie deal where we're swapping drivers every 20 minutes, right? Just so you get catnaps in. So yeah, he goes and jumps in the shower. As soon as my head hits the pillow, I was like, it's the established outputs. It's like, you freaking idiot. Number one cylinder is going to be number one spot, but number two through 8 are going to be all mixed matched, right? Because Chevy firing order, Ford firing order, this, that, everything else, number one is number one, number two is number two, so on and so forth, right? But right. The way the color coding goes through the harness, when I undid it from the ECU, okay, the pin is different. The colors are the same, but they're not supposed to be. When you go from Chevy to Ford to this and that, right? So right. I had it on a Ford firing order because of the way I color matched it, okay? So number one is number one. It's always in the same spot, right? But everything else is ass backwards. So number one was the only one firing at the right time. Everything else was firing sporadically, right? So I literally figured out. I was like, I'm gonna have this thing running within 2 minutes when we get back to the track. We get back to the track. We get to the track the next morning, and sure enough, within 2 minutes, car stops and idles, and just a friggin' a car that's been running for literally rolled over for 2 seconds of room, starts right up, idles, don't even have to adjust nothing. The thing just sits there and everything's freaking great. So I drive around the pits and stuff like that, and what was his name? The track manager at Cordova, Illinois, Mike. I want to say his name was Mike something. Hell of a guy. He let us stay there all day. This would have been Tuesday. We skipped drag week on Tuesday. So we stayed there and tested the car. Not tested the car. We drove it all around and 30, 40 miles an hour. Just driving around, making sure the car was good to go. Yeah. So we put it in the trailer and we show up Wednesday to the track. Maybe we skipped Wednesday. We show up to the track maybe Thursday. I want to say it was Thursday. And I never made a pass in the car before, right? The cars only went 40 miles an hour in their entirety, right? From the factory.
Yeah, and just tooling it around.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? My first 3 passes are going to be a 10, a 9, and an 8. That was my goal. I want to go a 10-second pass the first pass, a 9-second pass the second pass, and a 8-second pass, an 8.99 with a 9. I don't care.
Right. Who cares? Something in the 8.
I just want an 8-second on the third pass ever on this car. And I'm pretty confident I can do it, right? Well, I make the first pass, and it goes a 10.50, lifting at the 8th mile. And it went a 6.20 or something like that. No boost in it, legit, no boost in it, 2 pounds on the wastegate spring or something like that.
Nice.
And it went. I want to say it went a 6.40, 6.50 to the 8th, and a 10.58 or something like that at 115 miles an hour or something like that, right?
Right.
Make a second pass. It goes a 9.20 or something like that, 9.28 or something like that. I was like, okay, we picked it up. I just gave it a little bit of timing because the boost controller and stuff like that wasn't working. So I gave it a little bit of timing. Boom, good to go. And it goes to low 9. Well, I go up there for my third pass to go at 8.90, and Harry, who's been busting my balls, right?
Yeah, Harry.
Yeah. With that hillbilly friggin' Australian friggin' I don't know. But
that's sexual Steve.
Yeah, it's someone the Happy Trees guys. He's just I'm just gonna put a turbo.
I'm just gonna put a happy turbo, and
I'm gonna put a turbo over here, and I'm just gonna have I'm just gonna put a seat over here, and put some empty Coronas over here, and kind of like that guy, right? So he's been busting my balls, and I was like, I'm gonna screw this guy up, right? I was like, I think I got an 8-second tune-up in this car, but I know he's got an 8-second car, right? I was like, I gotta drill this guy on the light, like I gotta be on the tree. So I wasn't leaving with no power. It was on a radial, but I know I was leaving with no power. So like, the chassis is going to react a little bit slow, and it's a leaf spring car. So leaf spring cars don't react as fast as like four-wheeling cars and stuff like that. So like I know the car's going to be a little bit slow. So I go in a little bit deep on the tree, you know what I mean? Like deep stage it, and I friggin' drill the light, and I cut a triple O light against them. Okay,
Holy shit!
Yeah, that like I want a 918 because the boost controller didn't work. Like I put the timing back in it, you know what I mean? But the boost controller never turned on. I was trying to run like 10 pounds of boost that pass to go like an 880, 890. I figured it would go something like that. And yeah, it freaking didn't do it. But I embarrassed the hell out of them. Like I don't care what anyone says. Like I would be embarrassed if the car, like the third time the car ever like went over 40 miles an hour, puts like 6 cars on you. Like more than that. Like I had 4 cars on him at like the 8th. Like his jock strap was like 10 feet behind him. Like I drilled him. So yeah,
that's awesome.
The Dirty 30, we had a lot of fun with that, doing the drag week stuff. Never did Rocky Mountain Race Week with it. Then we started doing the no preparation and stuff like that because it was new and it was exciting. You know what I mean? I don't want to say the Dragon Drives were changing a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
I feel like not Rocky Mountain Race Week, but some of the other events were becoming more about money and like the publicity aspect of it and stuff like that. And like, don't get me wrong, we got our fair share of benefit from the publicity thing, but like, I want to do the event because like for the energy of the event, you know what I mean?
Right.
And some of the energy was changing, and that's one thing I really like about Rocky Mountain Race Week is like that energy. Like, I haven't competed in Rocky Mountain Race Week, but I've been there like when I helped out with the Alex's 55, Taylor's 55. Yep. But the energy still felt genuine. You know what I mean? Like, and
totally.
Sick Week is a close second. Drag Week, it's that one changed a little bit too, but like I feel like Rocky Mountain Race Week is probably the premier as far as the energy. And Florida's cool, but like the mountains and stuff like that of like Colorado and stuff like that is just like
Sick Week's awesome because it's February.
Yeah,
no one else is racing. So
exactly.
Where else are you going to race in February? Let's go to Florida,
right? So
giddy up.
It is Sick Week is a freaking awesome deal. We went there. We've been there for both years, you know, as spectators. Yep. But yeah, it's a little bit different. Give me 1 second. Hey, babe. I need you.
Do your thing.
Okay.
But yeah, you guys.
I got my portable charger here.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I told you I talk a lot.
It happens. At Sick Week in last year, you guys had Sexy Rexy, and then Sick Week this year you had the MVP. So
and Sexy Rexy, yeah.
You brought Sexy Rexy too as well. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And somebody was asking where Sexy Rexy was.
Oh, he's laying on the bed. We're in a hotel room right now down in Pennsylvania. We were going to head out to go to a big no prep race this weekend, but that got canceled, and my grandma's not in the best health, so we're down here in Pennsylvania visiting her and stuff like that, hanging out. And
but anywho, so Dirty 30 unfortunately meets its demise, and you can see that on the Hustlin' Horsepower YouTube channel, and there's a lot about that. And,
that one sucked. We raced during COVID, and I'll say it, during COVID, the gates were locked to the racetrack, so the fire department was locked outside the gates, and we sat there and watched the car burn to the ground. Yeah. Yep. So that one sucked.
And you have the car still, and you're going to attempt to rebuild that car now, right?
Yes, and there may be some things in place, but you're going to have to subscribe to the Hustlin' Horsepower channel to watch that thing unfold.
Yeah. But check all that out, and then pay attention to Hustlin' Horsepower on Facebook. I know you have a lot of parts calls kind of out there and whatnot, and obviously you've got a wider like audience than I do at the moment, but you never know. someone that's watching my thing that isn't currently a Hustle and Horsepower subscriber,
Yeah, there's
get on there. Maybe you got something that he can use.
cross reference and stuff like that, right? So like,
Yep.
I have. Do I say it? I can't say it yet. I want to, but I can't. So yeah, we're doing some things in place, and I'd love to be able to get everything in place to possibly debut that car. I might do a LS motor in it. Like,
Okay.
I've helped out with, I've done several LS builds and stuff like that. They're not necessarily my favorite because they're kind of played out, but at the same time, I want to drive the freaking hell out of the car, like what it was designed for. And there's not many platforms where you could get 15, 18 miles a gallon and still have 800, 1,000 horses on tap, right? And drive freaking anywhere, like a regular pickup truck, right? Like, there's not many platforms out there, and I want to be able to put a regular hard tire on this freaking car and drive it from New York to freaking wherever, Florida, if I want to.
Come to Denver.
Like, I'd love to go to like Rocky Mountain Race Week and either spectate or just let Maddie race the dang thing. You know what I mean? So like, that car will go 1050s like clockwork. You know what I mean? Just have freaking fun and like drive it freaking literally like. I know it'd be great for the Hustle and Horsepower channel. That car.
Oh yeah.
That car was like, if I was smart with marketing and stuff like that, like, oh my goodness, like, those, like, the publicity that car got, like, I could have turned that into something major, like major. If I wasn't so busy making a dollar that, like, I could have focused a little bit on the YouTube stuff, you know what I mean? Or back when we had that car. It was like, that car was just. Go on.
Yeah. That car, again, like Mike Narks is saying, or maybe that's Eric on the Dragon Drive deal. That's one of my favorite cars too. It's one of everyone's favorite cars because that thing is sweet. And you built it out of nothing. It had, like you said, like wood wheels and stuff out of it. And the thing was it was damn respectable. And I don't know what it ran, but I know it ran damn good.
In the eighth, like that car's gone now, and it's not going to be what it used to be. But we won a 516 at 146 in the eighth with that.
That's freaking and that was always a 275 car, right?
We ran it on a I was able to fit a 295 radial, and then we did run it on a 29.5, 10.5. But we went fast on a 28. Yeah, that was
hell yeah.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that car met its demise, which sucks. But I'm happy to see that you're going to bring it back out.
Yeah, we're gonna bring that car out. I'd love to debut it at LS Fest in September. I don't know if I have the finances set aside, and because like it's a full build, you know what I mean? Like everything, like whatever was salvageable off of that car, I put out into the next car. You know what I mean? So like, I can't take away our car that makes us money to put a car together that makes us happy, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? So after that one, I built straight gangster. I still had a normal job. Oh no, sorry. I built the homegrown hustler. Car was ugly as hell, but that car was fast. Like, we went 113 60 foot with that car, and we went like some really good mile an hour to the eighth in that car, like really good mile an hour. And that car was fast. It was ugly as hell, but like I didn't have the money to be building another car. You know what I mean? We just lost the Dirty 30. I had a normal job still, but I had a house. You know what I mean? Like, I had a house payment. So like, I put that car together because like, well, I was like, Maddie, like, I was like, we're good enough to do this stuff. Like, the Dirty 30 was the fastest it ever was. The weekend we lost the car, like, was like the fastest it ever was by a lot.
Right.
So we built the homegrown hustler in my little 2-car garage at my house, and that car was fast. We had that. Unfortunately, we lost that car. We got hit in that car. We had that car together 5 months, and we went to 7 finals in that car, racing against some pretty good cars in the no prep world, small tire no prep world. And the car was good. And then we got hit in it and lost the car. So we lost 2 cars, and we lost the first car in May. And then the following November, we lost the second car. So like that was tough, like really tough.
Yeah.
So then So then we were in a little bit of a hiatus trying to figure out, like, what direction to go. Some of the rules were changing and stuff like that. So I was like, I put together a 4-door car that we never raced, but I put it together that we were gonna take on the first sick week,
Right.
In February, because we lost the car in November. I was gonna bring the car out on sick week, and we were literally like 2 days away from getting that done. And I was like, you know what, like, it just didn't make sense. Like, I was like, this car's not gonna be competitive. Like, we can't be spending money traveling to go to a race and stuff like that without a car that's got a real chance at winning the money. You know what I mean? Like, travel costs and this and that, and like the type of racing that we're doing, we enter a race basically every week for $200 or $300. You know what I mean? And like every week when you don't have a normal job, like even when you have a normal job, $200-$300, that's that's
That's a bunch of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of freaking money every freaking week. So I was like, you know what? We can't donate $1,500 a month to races with just hopes of selling merchandise. Like, we're gonna lose our butt. Like, there's no way that we'll be able to keep this journey going, because we already had the house sold. That, like, I finished the Homegrown Hustler, and a week after we had to be out of the house. Like, literally, like, I think it was 6 days or something like that. After the car started up and drove off the lift in my garage, the house had to be empty for the new buyers, like for the new owners. So like, we were like, the house was sold, and we were going to do this journey deal here. So we did it, and we were traveling, and the car was good. But then we lost the car, and then I did Turbo John's deal. He offered me his Mustang. So I was trying to figure out the rule set for small tire no prep racing, right? And this is where this will get into like the more what I really like to do. I love the no prep racing. We're very decent at it. I don't want to say very good, because I'm not cocky like that, but like,
yeah, but
we're pretty good.
You go rounds. The thing goes laps.
Yeah. So we've been in 2023. We've had the car together for 17 races now, but in 2023 we've ran 9 events, and we've been in the money 7 times.
Hell yeah! And now you're talking straight gangster.
Yeah, straight gangster.
Give us the lowdown on this. What is it? What's powering it? What do you got?
It's a 509 cubic inch big block Chevy. So when I started doing the no prep racing, it was a 572, and then I put a 4-inch stroke crank in it, and I went to a 540, and now, or a 4 1/4-inch stroke. Then I'm down to a 4-inch stroke, and it's a 509 right now, and it works pretty dang well. It's well into the 4s. On front side no prep stuff on a 28-inch tall tire. I'm not gonna. I think I picked it up another. I found a couple things going over the tune-ups and stuff like that. I think it's got another 1/10.5 in it.
Hell yeah!
By cleaning up the tune-up a little bit to the 330. I found some things that I missed, and I'm pretty sure it's got another 10th in it, 1/10.5 in it to the 330. And if that's the case, even if I get it to a 10th to the 330, that car's gonna freaking fly. And we're getting ready to start racing for some real money here. So we've been, like I said,
what is the car?
It's a 1933 Dodge pickup truck. Factory wheelbase. Factory from the firewall forward, still has the factory frame rails in it. It is a 4-inch drop axle. We just put the RC Components wheels on it. They are freaking way lighter than the street wheels that I had on it.
Hell yeah!
It is a twin turbo big block Chevy on methanol. I'd like to have some real good injectors in the thing, but it's got 16 Bosch 210s. We run a 90 psi base in the thing. We go well over 150 miles an hour to the 8th in the thing. I'm not going to tell you exactly how fast we go, but over 150. Like,
That's badass.
That'll give a little bit of a speculation out there for some of the people watching this deal. But yeah, it's for example, that big wheelie picture right there. People think that was at the start line. That was actually 147 miles an hour on the back tire right there.
Nice. Holy shit. That's awesome.
So yeah, it's got the front, like the other picture you could see, it's got the front splitter that we put on it there. And that really helps keep the front end down and stuff like that on some of these bumpier surfaces. And you can see in that picture there, we got the bias ply tires on it versus the radial tires on it that we had in that picture. So it helps the chassis be a little bit smoother on these rougher surfaces. But Straight Gangster's a bad freaking ride. I did Turbo John's car to figure out how outlaw I could go when I built that car. But I built that car at Flying Hammer. Those guys helped out doing the finishing touches and stuff like that. Finished doing the finish up work on that car. But I built that car damn near by myself in 2 months and 2 days.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, that was ground up. That was freaking. I started with a cab fenders, freaking cab and fenders and doors basically, and frame rails, and yeah. But it's actually maybe tomorrow on the Hustlin' Horsepower Facebook page or YouTube channel. I'll post a couple pictures of what that car looked like a year ago today.
Totally do. For sure do. That'll be awesome.
Just like I started on that car. I bought that body May 18th. Yeah, I bought the car May 18th, and we had it race ready August 20th.
Wow.
No, July 20th. Yeah, I had the car ready. I had the car ready July 20th.
Holy
2 months
cow,
and 2 days.
dude.
It was 2 months
That's
and 2
amazing.
days. May 16th or May 18th. I think it was May 18th. I went and picked up the body for the car, body and the fenders and stuff like that. And I started on the chassis May 19th. And there was a couple days that I missed working on the car, but I basically worked on the car 20 hours a day for damn near 60 days straight. Like, yeah.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
I don't want to tell you how many man hours were in that car, but yeah, we built that car. There was times where I couldn't. I think if I had like a shop set up where I was indoors, like the reason why I stepped away a couple times, I have Crohn's disease and severe ulcerative colitis, so I got stomach issues, and the heat and stuff like that affects me pretty bad. Yeah, and we were building that car down in North Carolina outside, in the heat, so like I wasn't working at. I work on a good day, I'm at about probably 75% of what I used to be. But there was days there I'm working at, 50% or something like that, but still knocking the car out.
Still doing something right.
I think I could build another car in probably 45 days. Like a car of that caliber in 45 days. Mostly by myself if need be, but I don't necessarily want to do that.
That's a bitch. That's no fun.
That's a lot of like it almost takes some of the fun out of it because like you're hustling. But yeah, that car, the first 10 races, we went to what? 4 finals or something like that in the first 10 races.
Yeah.
Like we didn't even go testing with the car. Like we legit never made a test hit with the car. Maybe 2 test hits with the car. I've only tested that car 3 times. Like, no joke. Like,
and the rest has just been racing and gathering data as you do it.
Racing and going rounds. And, like, that's stupid of me to say, right? Because, like, we race for a living. You know what I mean? And, like, we're keeping ourselves fed and, like, we keep, we're still racing. But, yeah, like, I only have, like, three test days on the car. But I also feel like if I'm knowledgeable enough and what's called enough to go compete for, $5,000 or $10,000, like, why not make my test passes while I'm racing? You know what I mean? Like, not stay wait, but coming up here and we're starting to get to the point in a year. Like I said, we've been in the money 7 out of 9 races, right? And that's racing with one car that's only been together for a short period of time. No preparation. People that don't understand is like we don't race on the same surfaces from track to track to track. Like a front side surface is a front side surface. Like isn't a front side surface. Like every track is drastically different.
A front side surface here is nothing like front side surface 5 miles away.
It's not like normal drag racing where you go, I race from, let's say you race Norwalk, Ohio, and then you go like Summit Motorsports Park, and then you go down to, I don't know, another racetrack. You know what I mean? Like
pick any name.
Even Bradenton or something like that, right? The surfaces are going to be somewhat similar. Like they're not the same, but they're really, really similar. You know what I mean? When we go from one track to another track, and most of these tracks that we're racing on are like older tracks built in the 50s and 60s and 70s. We're not racing a lot of new facilities, so like there's bumps, there's cracks, there's crevices, there's humps, there's dips. Like we're outlaw racers, so like we don't get to race at all the pristine facilities. You know what I mean? Like Dragway 42 is probably one of the nicest facilities that allows no prep racing. Edgewater, where we lost the Dirty 30, they do some no prep racing too, but like that's not a normal no prep. Like we could go fast there, like a good small tire car could go out there and go, 450s all day long. You know what I mean? Like a good small tire car, and like there's like I just don't want to beat my stuff up when we could go high fours, low fives, or mid fives on a backside surface where we run for a whole lot more money, and I don't have to beat up my stuff that bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like
hell yeah.
You only have so many. We could only afford to have so many spare parts, and like parts are hard to get and stuff like that. So we're coming up to the time in the year where we really start racing for some money here. So like this weekend that got canceled, that was gonna be a $13,000 pot. But the week after that is gonna be probably close to $10,000 up in Michigan.
Hell yeah.
Week after that is $25,000 in Union, South Carolina, and that the one in South Carolina, Union Dragway down there. There's probably 250 cars coming to that one, but it's a free.
Nice.
It's a free entry race, and they're guaranteeing $26,000 in payouts. So it'll be $19,000 to win, like $5,000 for second. $1,500 for the top four, and you still get like $1,000 or something like that for the top eight. So like it's
That'd
still
be good.
It covers your fuel and stuff like that if you get top eight. And like this car is pretty good, so we got a really good chance at that one. Week after that, we're racing for damn near $40,000 up at War in the Woods, which is one of the most outlaw, cool, fast tracks in the country. That's just south of Indy, Brown County Dragway, and that's
Nice.
going to be a cool one. And then we got a couple other races, like $10,000 races. I think we're racing 8 weeks. We were going to be racing like 7-8 weeks in a row coming up. But at the end of the month, we're racing that race again, that same place, and it's like $35,000 to win Friday night and $35,000 Saturday night. So it's
$70,000. I mean,
in a weekend, yeah.
hell yeah.
So we got a good car coming into the big money season. You know, when kids get off of school and people are willing to travel to the races, and a lot of people don't race early spring because or winter time. You know, like we've already ran 9 events or 9 races with the car, and we lost second round once, but besides that, we've been in Final Four basically every time. I think
It's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah,
It's
so
freaking
like
awesome.
it's a pretty good car, and it's the at this point in time, it's the only form of motorsports where I see us being able to compete with the budget that we operate on, because
Right.
there's still room for innovation, and we're not ruled to death. You know what I mean? So like I could think outside the box. I don't want to say it this way, but I could use my intelligence and my ingenuity and stuff like that to still compete with some of the people that are paying $2,500 for their tuner to come in for the weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the
Like-
rules say what they say, and they don't say
Yep.
what they don't say.
Yeah. So like we're not doing nothing like illegal. Like we're not doing nothing illegal, but like I promise you, we're doing stuff that other cars aren't doing. Like
Right.
not illegal shit, but like I got active aero on
Innovative
the car.
shit.
Yeah, I got like I like this is my job, right? And like if I don't bring home money, like that would look really, really bad. You know what I mean? People think I'm crazy for going out racing if Maddie and like the baby aren't able to come racing with me, right? But like this is my job, and like I'm still like they're still fed. You know what I mean? Like we still have a roof
Right.
over our head and stuff like that. And like we're not making it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, tell me one person that works in there's not many people in this world, let alone the country, that work 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week that are really that see annual increase. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
as far as like progressiveness. You know what I mean? Like most people, like when I worked my normal job I worked 156 overtime shifts my last year at work. You know what I mean? That was 3.5 overtime shifts. And we were out of town 26 weekends that year racing.
Jesus.
Okay. So like I worked like a freaking idiot, right? And I can't. If you looked at the money that I started off with that year and the money that I ended that year with, you can't see a noticeable increase, right? And you can't do that with most people that work normal 40-hour jobs. Like you
make the money you make.
You make the money you make. You know what I mean? And like you live to those means, right? And we're competing against some people that have 40, 50 employees that make double the money that I have. You know what I mean? But at the same time, that's where if I'm on my game and I do my damn job, like we're able to compete with them, right? And if I dedicate myself more than they dedicate themselves, if I spend 4 hours going over a data log to find a tenth, or a half a tenth in the half a tenth in my data log, or if I watch my 60-foot time 50 freaking times to figure out something, like find something that wasn't happening in the chat,
just
or
that little bit,
yeah,
and that little
like,
bit is
yeah,
that
like
much.
don't get me
and
wrong,
you get that much,
like
and you get that much.
like the professionals are way better than me, right? But we're still competing with some pretty dang talented guys just by putting in the work. You know what I mean? Just by
Totally.
by putting in the sweat equity to it. And if we had the budget that they could operate on, well, yeah, we'd be considerably better, right? But at the same time, like I don't cherry pick races because I'm too competitive for that, right? Like I don't pick races that are easy for me to win because like I'm just not that. I'm too competitive for my
Right.
own
You
good.
want to race, and you want to race hard
Yeah,
to earn the money.
And I want to know that like we beat good cars to win, right? And that's really stupid knowing that I have a family to support and stuff like that. But at the same time, like if it like push comes to shove and I need money that bad, like there's other ways to make money than racing. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I can we make a living doing this? Most definitely. Is the progressiveness, or is there? Do I have factual data to show that like we're progressing? Yeah, like there's quantitative data to show that. You know what I mean? Not
right.
like in whether it's the social media stuff, whether it's the merchandise stuff, or whether it's our yearly winnings. You know what I mean? Like I got quantitative data to show you that like we're getting better. You know what I mean? And we're increasing each year. And most people that work if you make $45,000 a year, that's what you make. You know what I mean? And you live to those $45,000 a year means. But there's a chance if I'm good at what I do, we could go make $50,000 this year racing on top of our normal normal budget,
the income you're getting through your other means. Exactly.
Yeah. So like we still work. Like am I living my dream? Most definitely. Am I living the dream to the way I thought I was gonna be living my dream? Yeah, because I'm not stupid, right? But normally when you're living a dream, like if someone has a dream, right, of being like a full-time racer, right, you don't think of being a full-time racer as like hustling 24/7 to be able to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You think of being able to go out to eat every night or something like that, or
it's like a slot machine. It's just jackpot. Yeah. Hey, we're rich now. Yay! We can do anything we want.
But like that's not realistic. But that's not realistic in business too. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'll say it. Most businesses, right? You need to have, let's say you need $50,000 or $100,000 startup money to start your business, right? Now we've lost. I don't even want to count up how much money we lost when we lost the Homegrown Hustler and the Dirty 30, which is money that shouldn't have had to been spent. You know what I mean? But at the same time, most businesses need some real startup money to turn it into something, right? A lot of racing like the racing that we do, like I don't need $100,000 to like go build a car. Like if like people think I'm crazy, I built Straight Gangster for legit. I had $5,000. Okay, I built out of a whole bunch of wrecked freaking parts out of the Straight Gangster. Right, the car rolled multiple times. It flipped. It like that car was destroyed. Okay, I built a whole nother car for $5,000. Like a fast car that's awesome. Very competitive for $5,000. Like would I build that car and do that amount of work for $50,000 for someone else? No, like you can't. Like I'm not going to build that car for $50,000 for someone else in 2 months. Like like that'd be me working for like $15 an hour doing like legit fab work and like
getting the shit kicked out of you all day long.
And quality work. You know what I mean? Like most fab shops are making well over $100 an hour right now. You know what I mean? Like I can't work for $15 an hour doing fab work. If I'm gonna make $15 an hour, I'll make $15.
Go flip burgers at McDonald's.
Yeah, or like I'll go make $15 an hour, like having fun doing my own freaking thing. Like not necessarily having fun, but like I go make $15 an hour, like doing a whole lot easier work. You know what I mean? Like not saying it that way, but yeah. But yeah, that car's good. It's gonna do us well this year. I personally I would. I don't want to say expect it because like we're drag racing. You know what I mean? Like you don't know what's going to
You
happen.
can't
right?
expect anything, right?
You can't expect nothing. But I think I could firmly say basically every race that we show up to, I firmly believe we have a car that's potential a top 4 car, and we've proven that this year, racing against some pretty decent cars. You know what I mean? We're coming up and we're going to be racing against like the baddest cars in the country, like legit the baddest cars in the country, like that Gangsters Paradise race at the end of June and July 1st. There was 50 cars invited from across the country, 50 of the best small tire no prep racers, but that's 35,000 to win Friday night and 35,000. So it's $70,000 in tangible money that's up for grabs. And of course, there's gonna be some splits there. It'll probably be sometimes it's just first and second, sometimes it's third and fourth as well. But like that race there, it's like you got to be a bad dude there. So it's probably gonna be first and second because like people coming to that race know that like they're coming to win. You know what I mean? So that's gonna be that. Those are some of those cars there have been 440s. To the 440s at over 170 miles an hour. You know what I mean?
Legit fast, small tire
really,
no prep cars.
But the track is difficult. You know what I mean? The track is a very difficult track. Straight Gangster, I built Straight Gangster for that type of stuff, though. You know what I mean? Like, if I would have built a small tire no prep car or a small tire car to go, prep racing, I would have built the car differently. But like Straight Gangster, I can't say it's purpose built because it still has a factory firewall in it. It still has a 150-pound drop axle on it. The car sits right now at 2,850 pounds. It's not a lightweight piece. Still has a cooling system and a charging system in it. So if I want to put gasoline in the car, I could go drive it 50 miles. You know what I mean? Like, I got plates and registration for it that if I wanted to put it on it, we could put the thing on the street. You know what I mean? Like, they'll pull me over for not having turn signals, but not every state needs turn signals either. So,
well,
like, yeah. Or just drive fast enough that they don't look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, whatever. Who cares?
And but the car is, I could street drive the car. Like if I want to put gasoline in the car, it's only got a 6 gallon tank, but I could go 50 miles on 50, 60 miles just cruising down the road and things. So
hell yeah,
the car is far from outlaw-ish, but it is purpose built to fit a rule set that I believe it will be around for a little while, because the only rules that I believe are going to come into this stuff would be a factory firewall rule, because then that makes I got into the discussion today, like factory firewall in drag racing, right? When a factory firewall is in its location, that means the motor could only go in a certain location, right? So that dictates weight bias, and it dictates minimum weight that you could run the car at for the given weight bias. Once you move that firewall, well, now you could run that car a whole lot lighter and have a way more favorable weight bias, right? So then your Fox Body Mustang without a factory firewall, that car is no longer your Fox Body Mustang. It's a 101-inch wheelbase, whatever the hell you want it to be. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
So my car is, it's got factory style front suspension on it. It's a drop axle car, and it's got a factory firewall in it. But those cars, I seeked out that old body for a reason. That motor sits 9.5 inches behind the spindle in the factory location. And it's a 116-inch wheelbase. That makes it pretty dang happy on some pretty bad surfaces. And it's like, if you see that car go more than 3 degrees, like of anything wiggling it, that car goes straight 99.999% of the time. If it goes sideways, like something broke or we ran over some water or some antifreeze or something like that, like we ran over someone else's oil or something like that. But that car works good, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, we're well past 2 hours, and it doesn't even feel like it. We have had so much fun. This has been awesome, dude. Typically, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here a little bit. Typically, I ask a bunch of questions at the end of one of these.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ask you one, and actually, I'd like to ask Maddie
the
same here. Question. What is your advice for someone new getting into racing in any form, be it where you kind of started with, with the Blazer kind of stuff, or if you want to do a Dragon Driver, if you want to do a no prep, whatever it is, what would your advice for a newbie be?
My advice would be never swipe a credit card for something that you can't pay for. And the reason for that is, at the end of the day, this crap is a hobby. Can you make a living doing it? 100%, most definitely. I know people that make $60,000 a month on YouTube. I know people that do $500,000 in shirt sales a year. Like
Right.
we're not even close to there. You know, I mean, we make less than $1,000 a month on YouTube, and it, you know, we might make $5 an hour for YouTube, the amount of work that it gets, you know, puts into the videos and stuff like that, right?
Right.
But the potential is there to make a living doing it, but in no way, shape, or form swipe a credit card to do it. Like,
I like that.
you see too many people lose their ass and put themselves over the head, and like that's one thing that pisses me off more. Like, I don't have too many triggers. That's one of my triggers, right? People that think that I'm putting my kid and stuff like that in jeopardy by going racing every week. Like, you guys are like, not to say it this way, but you're a freaking idiot if you think I'm putting my kid in jeopardy, that I want to put, like, use my kid's college savings. Not that she has one, but like, I'm not gonna put myself in debt to, like, or I'm not gonna make my kid, like, do we travel in a freaking motorhome? Most definitely. Like, if I need to rent an apartment, I can rent an apartment. But like, at the same time, like, the kid's freaking 5-6 months old. Like, she needs to go to her doctor's appointments, and like, the kid's gonna be pretty well rounded when she's able to, how well versed she's going to be. You know what I mean? Being around,
Totally
acclimated to the world, and like living like growing up like a kid did back in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like, not I don't want to say it this way, but I'm not gonna get into politics. But like, the kid's gonna.
She'll be tough because she's gonna have a real life experience. She's not gonna learn.
Yeah, she'll be tough, and she'll get whatever she earns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you have the whole world, like Cletus, right? He's got the motorsports thing by the neck, right?
Oh yeah.
But don't think for a second that guy didn't put in the freaking work. Like,
And he still does.
he puts in the work. Like,
Yep.
the guy's working. He's very, very smart at it. Did he have some breaks? Most definitely. But you're also, he put in the work working for 1320 Video as a freaking camera guy before he got into the position of jumping in the freaking Bald Eagle freaking Corvette, right?
Right.
And then he took that and turned that into something else, right? Like, I'm a firm believer that you're in charge of your own destiny. The American dream is still alive, even though, like, they don't necessarily want you to achieve it. It's still achievable. Like, there's a lot of freaking laws and tax laws and this and that, like, that make it a little bit difficult, right? To step out on your own and go after a dream like that. But it's still available if you want it more than the next guy. You don't necessarily have to be more talented. You don't have to necessarily have to be anything else but more ambitious than the next guy. And like, if you're head and shoulders more ambitious, like, and you create your own luck, eventually the breaks will come. Like,
hell yeah.
But you got to tread water for a really freaking long time, like, really long time.
How about you, Maddie? Like, what would your advice be to a newbie getting into? Because I assume you do a lot of the merch stuff, you do a lot of the social media type stuff and whatnot. Yeah. So, kind of what would your advice be for a newbie kind of getting into this and, watching this and going, man, I really like these guys and I want to do what they do.
Don't do it.
Well, I think it's really important, especially with how big social media is today, that you don't look at other people and think that, like, kind of what Nick was saying about, you know, Cletus, that everybody works for what they have. Like, you don't just see, social media is very hard to see the background of everything. So you just see all the highlights of everybody's lives. So you got to be able to put in the work, to have the patience, and I think most importantly, not everybody's idea of success is the same. So just because of something you see on social media and you think that they're doing great, like, you don't have to do exactly what they're doing to be successful. And what were you
I'd like to add into that, like, don't compare, like, our YouTube stuff is freaking real, right?
Yeah.
Like, when we're low on money, we're low on money. Like,
there's a lot of people
when we're balling and I go and get myself a nice big prime rib because, like, I want a nice little payday, right? Like that's real. Like, I wear Walmart shoes, right? I still wear Walmart shoes. I might have just won, a $10,000 or $8,000 or something like that. That doesn't mean I'm going to buy myself a new pair of shoes, right? Because
Yeah, you don't need Jordans all of a sudden.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't compare someone's highlight reel to your real life, okay? Because a lot of these people's highlight reels are as fake as shit. Like, you're not sponsored, so I could say it. A lot of these people
You can say whatever
are
you want, man.
a lot of these people are putting on a friggin' act, and like I've been around this stuff long enough, right? That like I know a lot of it for what it actually is, right? And like I'm not the one to call people out, but like there's been times where I've really wanted to call freaking people out, right? Because like they're making it seem like it's one thing when it's totally not. If they went and robbed someone or like they were freaking they did a whole bunch of like they were a drug dealer before they started doing this stuff, or they did a whole bunch of shady shit to like get to where they are, and they make it seem like they did it like the honest way. Like part of me wants to call those people out, right? But you'd have to call out a lot of American culture as a whole.
A ton of
right?
people.
You'd have to call out a lot of America if you wanted to call that out, right? So you got to pick your battles, but make sure, like Maddie said, your picture of success is in your own thing, right? I'll consider myself successful when I could own, I want to say 5 acres. If I could own 5 acres and a barn dominium and have like a couple toys and being able to go out to eat without thinking I earned it, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like without it being a treat to myself, right? That like I did good or something like that. Like I'll consider that successful. You know what I mean? Like when I count my money way more than like a normal person should, right? But we're independent, man. You know what I mean? I don't know how much money I'm making next month. You know what I mean? Like next month, if we're being honest here, right? Next month could be a $50,000 month for us if I'm on my game. Like that's not completely far fetched. Is it going to take a little bit of luck? Most definitely. But we'll say 2 months. In 2 months, we can make an additional $50,000 than what we're planning on, right? That's very possible. We're racing for over $100,000, $150,000, maybe more than that. Like in the next 2 months, right?
Hell yeah.
But can I feel like we have a chance at least getting 10 or 15 of that? Most definitely.
Hell yeah.
Do I have to plan for making none of that and spending friggin' $5,000-$7,000 in fuel? I got a plan for that. You know what I mean? And that's something that a normal person that gets a weekly paycheck doesn't have to stress about.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They know that. Yeah, they can spend the fuel money because they know they'll have more coming in the paycheck.
Right, their check in the next 2 weeks is going to be the exact same amount it was the 2 weeks prior, and it's going to be the same exact amount it was the 2 weeks before that.
Or like when we were raced with the Dirty 30, I knew I had to work that car wasn't overly competitive. Was it cool as hell? Was it overly competitive? No. I knew I had to work at least 2 overtime shifts every week if we wanted to go racing. So like, if I didn't work 2 overtime shifts, we didn't go racing that weekend because I knew I needed to have an overtime shift for at least one and a half overtime shifts to cover our fuel to travel 10 hours that weekend, and price and expenses on the car. You know what I mean? Plus, you're out of town. We slept in the bus or we slept in the trailer. We roughed it. You know what I mean? And we can't necessarily rough it as much with the kid now. You know what I mean? So like, we got a kid to watch out. So like, we can't sleep in the back of the trailer like cuddled up in a sleeping bag because there's 2 of us in this 45 degrees out at night. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
We can't do that no more. You know what I mean? But you got to really that's a big thing is not comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel, because someone else's highlight reel might be a load of BS. Like,
and odds are really good that it's a load of BS.
They might have a friggin' $50,000 in credit card debt, or they might have served 5 years in jail for some big drug dealing operations where they laundered all their money and they got it back after they got out. You know what I mean? Like, you can't compare. You don't know their story, good or bad. Like, we try to live it as real as it is. And like, I promised myself when I started doing the YouTube stuff, like it's gonna be real. Could I?
Hell yeah.
Could we put on an act and have 50,000 subscribers? Most definitely. Could
Sure.
we have 100,000 subscribers? Most definitely. But like the following that we have is genuine because we're genuine. You know what I mean? And like
That's awesome.
that's a big thing.
That's a great segue. Pimp all your stuff. Where can we find all of your social stuff? Where can we find all your merch? Where can we find where you're going to be racing next, and etc.
Pretty merchandise and all that stuff is hustlinghorsepower.com. HUSTLIN. No G. We're the gangsters. No, I'm just joking. Hustlinghorsepower.com. I should say that. No G. We're the gangsters.
No G. We're the gangsters. Yeah. I like that.
Hustlinghorsepower.com for the merchandise. If you got parts and stuff like that, all I ask is, put the price in the description of the parts. That's hustlinghorsepower@yahoo.com. Again, no G. YouTube, Hustlin' Horsepower. We're closing in on 20,000 subscribers. Once we get up to 40,000 subscribers, 50,000 subscribers, we can start making some income through that deal, like some noticeable income. And then, we got a couple sponsors and stuff like that. They're not really sponsors. Don't think it's a sponsor. Like
it's not a handout.
They're marketing partners.
Yep.
I've worked with every single one of these companies, or used their parts in different different projects and stuff like that, way before they helped me out. But like, they don't help me out much anymore because like I'm a no prep racer. But Holley EFI and Borg Warner Turbos, they were my first two sponsors ever. As I was walking through PRI, both companies was like, "Hey Nick, is that you?" Or "Hey Nick, come over here." And I kept on walking by because I'm like walking next to John Force, right? Like, there's no way they're talking to me. Like, I slept in my mom's car. It was friggin' 15 degrees out in friggin' Indy, and I'm froze my dang nuts off and friggin' because like I didn't have money for a hotel, right? And here they are calling out my name. So like, the potential's there, right?
Totally.
Trick Flow Specialties, they helped us out huge before we went and filmed for Street Outlaws. I had an old set of cylinder heads, and they helped us out big with a set of cylinder heads back then.
Very nice.
Because I was dropping valve seats myself. Let's see here. Tile, they helped us out and stuff like that. Aeromotive rebuilt my fuel pump and stuff like that after the fire. It's still burnt up and stuff like that, but like it works. Extreme Automatics, Lonnie. Lonnie at Extreme Automatics. I lied. He was the first sponsor I ever had. And like, it wasn't a complete sponsor, but he helped me out a little bit. And that guy has seen me grow from stretchy truck days, like blow through stretchy truck days, to like where we are now, right? And we talk damn near weekly on the phone, and he's got him and his cousin are partners in a pretty dang good drag program, and we go back and forth all the time. Like, I help him out a lot. And like, this is a guy that saw me from freaking just a freaking pajama pant wearing freaking like sleepy eyed freaking like grease ball, right?
Chia pet. I like that.
I literally didn't cut my hair for like 3 weeks. I was working so much, like maybe 2 months. Like I freaking go to like, yeah. Let's see here. Optic Armor. They're probably going to come on board again with the Dirty 30 for the Optic Armor see-through roof and stuff like that. Like, that car was just freaking cool. Let's see here. I said Aeromotive. RC Components helped us out a little bit with wheels because the car needed wheels for a long freaking period of time. We were running just regular street wheels that were heavy as hell. And like, I legit lost like 15 pounds off the front end of the car, rotating mass, by putting those lightweight wheels on the car. Stainless Works helped us out a little bit going way back. This is to the Dirty 30 when that all got beat up. I still run those headers that I built for the Dirty 30. They've been in the fire and 2 accidents, and like, man, those things have been pieced together so many freaking times. Like, my welds have never broke, but we got hit. Before we got hit and lost the Homegrown Hustler, I was hit 3 other times in that car in 5 months. 2 other times in that car in 5 months. Like, we got hit 3 times in 5 months with that car, and the third one finally took it out.
Good God.
All in your own lane. Too.
Yeah, I was in my lane every freaking time.
Yeah.
Son of a.
Yeah. So, what else? we're dealers for Willwood and Willwood brakes and Viking shocks. We're dealers for Holly as well. What else? We don't stock a whole bunch of stuff. We're just because we're traveling as much as we do. But yeah, there's I'm missing probably a couple companies. I am looking for a sponsor for some freaking. We need to get some parts for the Dirty 30. But I'm gonna bring that car's coming back out like hopefully in 2023. I'm gonna try to make that out. But
and pay attention to the Hustle and Horsepower, all the social media. They'll have all kinds of stuff coming up with that here soon, with the Dirty 30 rebuild. And I'm looking forward to that.
I need a partner so I can put another car together so we can campaign 2 cars. I just can't afford it all myself to campaign 2 cars, but I got a lot of parts to put another car together, and I'd love to bring out 2 small tire no prep cars because we could do very, very well if I had the data from 2 cars. But yeah,
hell yeah, hell yeah,
that's a possibility, but we'll see. But yeah, all those marketing partners and stuff like that, we appreciate the hell out of them. Like, it'd be very, 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 very difficult to do what we do without them. Don't get me wrong. Like, almost none of that stuff was free, but we've worked. I've used a lot of those parts in the past, and it's they're relationships, and most of those relationships have been cultivated over 10 years, and like, I can't tell you how much fuel money I spent to get those sponsorships. Right, like. We don't race a local track. We race a whole East Coast. We race the whole Midwest. We have a car that's one of the most, I don't want to say it this way, but like the Dirty 30 and Straight Gangster are 2 of the coolest and most eye-catching cars at the racetrack. You know what I mean? Like,
hell yeah.
And they're very the Straight Gangster is very competitive. So it's not only going rounds, it's traveling the country too. You know what I mean? So we appreciate those people that support us, and we're working at getting a couple more sponsors and stuff like that to help out with fuel costs and tires, because we go through a set or 2 sets of tires. That's $1,100 a month just in tires, or at least 1 set of tires every month, which is $550. And
right.
The fuel, we spend a lot of money in fuel, but we traveled the whole East Coast, and it's not unlikely to be in front of 25 to probably 25,000 spectators a month.
Yeah, not including live stream stuff as well.
So, that stuff's out of this world. Our social media outreach is in the millions each month. Yeah,
it's awesome.
But physical people watching us races, sometimes 25,000 a month. It's at least bare minimum, which generally at least 10,000 people a month that we're in front of. So
hell yeah. So yeah, if you've got something that you think you can throw into the Hustle and Horsepower camp, reach out. They'd for sure love a little bit of help, and getting them to those next races and making it happen.
We appreciate it, guys. Adam, thank you. This was a riot.
Dude, this was super duper fun. Thank you guys so much.
Maybe we'll do it again, but we'll do a condensed version. Like, we got to split it up to like increments, because like I have done so much crap in this industry that like we can literally do a 2-hour video each freaking, like, we can do an hour video of each year of my life about like everything we did and like everything we didn't do to be able to do those things. And like,
I loved it. I think it was great. Like you said, like, we can go another 2 hours probably, but I would fall asleep. You guys would be like, what? Why is he sleeping, man? I mean, it's not even
okay.
Past midnight for him, but
I'd probably be talking.
You guys, thank you so much. Hang out in the background real quick. I'm just going to tell everyone goodbye, and then I want to say thank you to you guys.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yep, definitely. You guys, how much fun was that, dude? The Hustle and Horsepower crew, Nick and Maddie and MVP, guys, that was so much fun. It didn't really even feel like 2.5 hours. Had so much fun with this. Alan Murray's totally right. That's the best one yet, even though it was super duper long. Man, we crossed so many bridges. That was great. Super good background of both Nick and Maddie. Maddie was a surprise to me. I didn't know that she was actually going to be on, so that was really cool. Getting a little bit of her perspective as well. So, guys, thank you so much for hanging in there. Share this with your friends and just let them know that I know this is long, but this one is so worth it. So make sure you share, like, and subscribe here. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe over at Hustle and Horsepower, hustleandhorsepower.com for all of the merch. And hopefully you guys get to see the Straight Gangster doing some work here in the near future. But everyone, thank you again for tuning in to That's Cool Drink, and we are